Go ahead and get it. We'll start. We got to stall them out anyway so people can kind of come in. But what's going on, world? It's your boy at Big Game James _36. With a nice Sunday edition. We haven't done a Doak Boyz chop 'em up in a minute. A lot of travel, a lot of other different things, but it's the off season. I did promise you guys that we're going to, have content. And one of the things that everybody likes is the stories of when you fell in love with the program, the stories of people who made you fall in love with the program, and just in general, just really some dope ass football talk and knowledge that a lot of times people don't really get on a day to day because there's a lot of, let's face it, there's a ton of podcasts, there's a ton of people that talk about it, but very few people actually lived it. So without further ado, this is Doak Boyz Chop It Up. I'm chopping it up with Duval County's own Tony Carter, and we got a chance to do something that we haven't done yet. It's actually in the same room, live. I was trying to get it like almost like Club Shay Shay. I'm here at the world's greatest cigar lounge, Goodfellas. I was going to give him a beverage, but he's got a bottle of water somewhere here, so that's cool. He's being very, very good, very subdued, and all those different things like this. But for a quick background, Tony was there for 2 of my years at Florida State. He came in my junior year. Actually, a really interesting class that came in that year. I believe he was with Half Gallon, with little Rodney, right?
Yeah, Rodney Gallon, Big Shaq, Lamar Lewis, Xavier Lee, Drew Rutherford, Lawrence Timmons.
Was it Jay Thaxton?
Jay Thaxton, yep. Darius McClure, J.R. Bryant, Trevor Ford. We got a really good class coming in.
Yeah, it's a lot, especially during that time. A lot of names that came in. Some of those names I always joke with people now. When it comes to recruiting, everybody's like, "Oh, we gotta have this kid. We gotta have this kid." You just named a lot of 4-stars that you got to be a real FSU fan to know, and it's not because they weren't good. It's just it didn't probably work out in their heads the way that they might have envisioned it. But there's a lot of cats that were good. But even with you, one of the funny stories I remember, I was like, "Man, who is this little skinny kid that's out here really trying to bang people?" And I remember one time, you probably don't remember this. I had to put, I said, "Hey man, listen, dog, you better I know it's we in full pads, dog. Go ahead and hit the legs, man. Just go ahead and tap the legs, man. Stop trying to take everybody up top." Right. She was like, "Nah, man, I'm gonna be out here. I'm gonna get out here and hit."
You know, a part of it was obviously in high school. I didn't really tackle in high school. You know what I mean? Like I would try to avoid contact as much as I could, but when I got there, I'm like, I want to prove to my teammates a little bit that I'm not scared.
Right.
And I didn't like tackling. I didn't want to hit nobody high anyway. But yeah, I was probably about 155 when I got there, soaking wet, scared as hell. But I learned Mickey Andrews wasn't having that. You got to go tackle if you want to play.
That part, we definitely gonna get into this, and gonna have some Mickey stories and some other stories, and just different things like that. But talk to us about what got you into football. What made you play football, and kind of get us up to where you were in high school?
I would say I started off playing all sports. My first sport was probably baseball. I actually really loved baseball growing up. I was a big baseball fan. I had all the cards, everything. Obviously, I like basketball because it was an indoor sport. Football, I started when I was 7. I was playing for the Inner City Warlords in Jacksonville. That was my first team I played for. Then I moved to where I lived on the north side. Then I ended up playing for North Jacks. I moved to the west side and played for Normandy. So I lived all over. But I played football when I was 7, tackle football, never played flag or anything like that. And hell, I played every season until I was 31, 32. Okay. So
it's a lot of ball.
Honestly, it was like being from Florida and being from Jacksonville, once I started getting recruited for football, it was like, it was that. I wish I had kept playing baseball, though, honestly. That probably was my best sport.
I mean, Jacksonville is actually a big city for baseball as well. Actually, for quite a few sports since I've lived here, I've got a chance to notice that. But some big time legends when it comes to the quarterback position. You got Leroy Butler. You got Brian Dawkins, who just went to the Hall of Fame not too long ago. Actually, Leroy Butler was part of the Hall of Fame as well.
Right.
What was it like in the air? And then just during that time, you had a lot of guys like Leon Washington wasn't that far, which a lot of people don't know. DB. Leon was a DB before he became.
Correct.
Actually, Kevin Sullivan called him, what's he called? Pop Warner King for a little bit because he played everywhere in some of everything. But what was it like coming up with that much talent? You know, you had the Trinity Christians that were coming on the rise, University Christian. A lot of schools were coming up on the rise. So what was the competitive balance, and how did you get along with all of the other big time playmakers here in Jacksonville?
Well, first I was a big like I did my research a lot, you know, so I actually looked up to Lito Shepherd.
Okay.
Lito Shepherd he went to Florida, obviously, but I was he's obviously older than I am. And I used to read the newspaper and I saw how big he was. I'm like, oh, he like 5'10", 165 pounds. And he getting ready to go to the University of Florida. So I used to study his stats, you know, like watch the news every Friday, see highlights. And I'm like, man, if this guy could go to college at this size, then I got a chance to do it. So that's why I switched to playing DB. I played quarterback growing up a lot and pretty much just an athlete. But I chose corner because I'm like, okay, these dudes actually, he has a chance of making it pro, which he was getting ready. I think he was already in the pros when I was in high school.
Yeah, probably because he's a little older.
Yeah, he's a little older than me. So I was, you know, looking up to him and watching him, and that kind of gave me the confidence. But as far as just this area, I don't know anything else. You know what I mean? I grew up here playing Pop Warner football. And here you play against every side of town. You don't just play in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
So just understanding, like, I grew up on the north side. This is how they play over here. On the south side, it's totally different. I went to Inglewood my freshman year of high school. People don't know that. Then I transferred to Mandarin in 10th grade. So just the competition was always at a high level. And, you know, just the history of all these guys going to college. Pro football was not in my mind at all. You know, that was just like something you don't say out loud just because, you know, it doesn't really happen. But just to go to college was something that I always wanted to do. And when I used to read the newspaper, and I'm like, oh, these guys from Rains going here. These guys from Ed White going here. These guys from Sandalwood going here. So I'm like, why can't it be me? That's kind of how I thought about it.
That's a fair enough point. Going back to that, to the mindset. So you started. So Inglewood, what got you to? If you're in the north, so first off, if people don't know, Jacksonville is one of the biggest damn cities in America. Not just not population per se, but like it's wide. It's a lot of land mass. And we're going back to early 2000s. Like it take a little bit to get from the airport to Mandarin. It's a lot easier now because they got a lot more byways. They built up JTB 295, but it wasn't necessarily around the corner. So what made y'all look at Southside schools in the beginning? Or was that because y'all moved?
Yeah, we moved. So I grew up on the north side, went to elementary school, then probably like in ninth grade, I moved to the south side, like Arlington area.
Okay.
And it was either go to Inglewood or Terry Parker. So I chose Inglewood because I had older family members, cousins, homeboys that went to school there, and they had cars and stuff. So I'm like, well, I'm gonna go to school where they go to school. So, you know, those guys were a few years older than me and they lived in my neighborhood. So I just chose to go to school, you know, where they went to school. But I was messing up bad. I was screwing up. I didn't do no work. I'm just there because I had older friends. And, you know, they were juniors and seniors. So they kind of already knew the ropes of like the teachers, how school works. They had cars. I'm riding with them. We chasing girls. So I'm a freshman and I'm on varsity football. I'm just doing what they do. So my grades was kind of like messed up. I didn't get any trouble or anything, but I was going down a slippery slope. So that's why I ended up transferring.
All right, you went to Mandarin. What's my guy? Who was the coach at Mandarin when you
Bruno, Richard Brunowski.
Oh, that's the connection to Bruno. Okay, I didn't know Bruno actually coached.
Bruno was the head coach.
I didn't know that.
Bruno got a lot of kids in school. Like, people don't know this, but the reason why I went to Mandarin, so like I said earlier, I used to watch the news and all that stuff, and I used to see him on TV or reading the newspaper how he was talking positive about his players. Like, hey, we got a kid here. He's probably gonna be a high prospect. You don't really hear coaches say that.
Yeah.
Like most coaches, and this is just my opinion, around like a lot of youth league sports, they make it about them.
Right.
You know what I mean? They like my program, my team, You know, it's they when they get a chance to get on the news on TV,
they're putting themselves
they're
forward.
putting themselves forward because they want to advance or whatever. But what I saw in him was, they would ask him a question about the team, and he's like, "Yeah, we got this player, this player." He was talking about his players, so I'm like, I didn't know him, and I'm like, man, they got kids that's getting recruited. Let me go over here and see if I can earn some stripes.
That's basically what Duval is, guys. It ain't really a lot of branding it. Get your kids recruited, and that's because a lot of there is a recruitment that does go on. But for what I've seen, good programs recruit themselves. And so, like, if you got a guy like I thought Bruno, I didn't know who Bruno. I thought Bruno was just an agent.
Nah, Bruno was high school coach. He was high school coach for a while. Bruno actually, he helped me out a lot. Like, he used to take me to camps every weekend. I basically lived with him in the summertime. Like, he did more for me than I could say anybody did at that age. Like, and it wasn't because he was trying to look for something in return or, basically he saw me. He's like, man, this kid a good kid. He quiet, he laid back. I'm like, man, I want to go to college. And he's basically, I'm gonna help you. I'm like, okay, cool. And I can't say that anybody else was like doing that.
Right.
And my mom and my grandmother, they didn't really understand what that meant. So they just like get good grades. That's the only thing they know. So he would say, hey, we're going to this camp and the Nike camp. I'm gonna take you to the Nike camp. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like, what I need to bring? He like cleats. You know what I mean? I'm like, do I have to pay? Nah, don't worry about it. I'm like, dang, that's cool. All right. Hey, I'm gonna take you to go meet Coach such and such. I'm like, what I need to do? He like, wear some Timberland boots so you can look taller. Like, you know what I mean? Just so he basically he took his time with a lot of us. And Marcus Thomas was there. He was my high school teammate. He went to Florida. He played in the NFL for a while. So Marcus he was big, he was like a man amongst kids in high school. And it was total opposite for me. If I walk into a room, nobody's gonna look at me and say, we want to recruit him or we want to like whatever. So he would just put me in position to do well. So if we went somewhere, he'd be like, if they had a camp where they're doing a fast man competition, he would take me because he knew I could win. And that'll get me like, if we had like back in the day, they used to send college coaches to camps. So he'd be like, hey, these coaches coming there. So you're gonna go and he took me to the Florida State camp, Florida camp, Miami camp. Like, he took me to all these places, and my parents didn't spend no money. So he probably was paying for it. Well, I don't know what really was going on. So that was, most people they say they want kids to succeed, but they don't really stir into them. They just, they talk about it, or when the kid succeeds, they say, I did this, but that's not how it always happens.
Nah, that's, again, I know Bruno. I've known Bruno for a while. I never knew that part about it, but there's a lot of coaches like that in the Jacksonville. That's why I think Jacksonville has always been one of those premier programs. I mean, Kevin Sullivan, I saw Kevin Sullivan do stuff for, that's why I joke, he the mayor of the East Side. Like, he the only white man that could walk out East, and if you do something to him, your day is a number.
Correct.
Because Kevin put a whole bunch of people in college and did things for kids that they didn't even know was a possibility. And I also think, even moving on, for parents or people who are going to be listening to this, and you want to know what hasn't changed about the recruiting process, that part, you got to get educated on it. And it helps having a high school coach, or you're doing 7-on-7 or whatever it is, somebody that actually can walk you through and put your kid in the best position. But you brought up one of your teammates, and we're dealing with that right now, kind of a little bit at Mandarin, because he went to Mandarin High School. Anybody who follows me knows my son, one of my best friends, and my son's godfather is the head coach there. So I help out at Mandarin. We're going to have some really good kids that's probably going to go to a rival school. But in Jacksonville, Florida, which I call, especially when they're good, it is Seminole purgatory here. Like, how many Gators are here? There's more Bulldogs, but because they SEC, and they're not a rival, we don't hear about it.
Right.
You had to have had family that was Gators or something like that, or friends that were just like that. How was that process during the recruiting
I did. My dad played basketball at Florida State. A lot of people don't know that. My dad, I was born in Tallahassee.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I was born in '86. My dad was on the basketball team there. My dad was Mr. Basketball coming out of high school.
Oh, wow.
He's from Pensacola.
Okay.
He's 6'5", I'm 5'10". So shit went bad.
Yeah.
So I thought I was gonna be a basketball player.
How tall is your mom?
She's short. My mom about 5'3".
Oh, that's tough.
5'4",
that's
maybe.
Tough. That you ain't get nothing. You got just enough of his genetics to be right there.
So I grew up, obviously I was a baby in Tallahassee on campus. Like I don't remember none of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it's in me. And then I always watched, Florida State from afar. Charlie Wars and Warwick Dunn, my two favorite players in Florida State history. Growing up, so obviously I had Gator fans either in my family or just around here, and you pick a side when you're young in Florida. You don't just change up. So I never thought about going to Florida just because I grew up a Florida State fan.
Right.
Now I did get recruited by Florida, and it was a possibility of me going there, but in reality, growing up, you don't think that that's what you're gonna do.
Right.
You just look at it and watch it, and then when I got offered by them, I was like, oh man, it's crazy. You know what I mean? So
yeah, when we came down this way, nobody in my family ever played football. My mom's from New Jersey, my father's from Ohio.
Yeah.
They met at FAM. But I didn't know. I watched a lot of FAMU, but I watched Florida on TV. But the neighborhood in which I grew up, it looked like more of the players that I felt were more like me were at Florida State or at Miami.
Yeah.
And so that was where it was at for me. My mom told, because Spurrier took the job with the then Redskins at the time. So Zook came on campus, and I was just like, hey man, probably I can tell you right now, you can do whatever you want to do, but I can tell you right now. And then they called my mom. My mom was just like, nah.
Yeah.
So I can tell you where he's not going.
Right. I actually was not opposed to going to Florida. I was just happy to just get recruited and having people talk to me. So I wasn't opposed to it. I think the reason why I probably didn't go to Florida because the year before D Webb went there.
Okay.
And D Webb from Jacksonville, he went to Ed White. He was a really good high school player. And, he was going there to play DB. And I think he played a little bit his freshman year. So I was a year after him. So I'm like, I'm not going to go there and possibly sit on the bench, for 3 years at least. And they had some really good recruits there in 2003. And that was my junior year. I came out 2004 high school. So I knew that Florida State only recruited one corner, which was Antonio Cromartie in 2003. So I'm like, well, it's going to be another spot down the road. So I just got to compete with the guys in my class and maybe some guys who may be a little bit older, but they'll be gone by the time I'm ready to play.
Okay.
So that's kind of how I looked at it.
So moving into your senior year, because again, I feel like we got to re-educate people. When I came out, and I'm pretty sure it was similar to yours, like all this taking official, you went to unofficial visits during the season, but wasn't no official visits in the summertime or any of this stuff. Like basically, I didn't even pick up most of my offers until my senior year.
Correct.
And I had to make a life decision between January and that first weekend of February.
Correct.
So walk us through kind of the recruitment process with you. Who was if you remember, who was like your top 3, your top 5, and if this were another reality, who might have Tony Carter signed with the set of Florida State?
Well, Tennessee was on me heavy. Coach Former at the time, he was obviously one of the legendary coaches in college football. Tennessee had won the championship in 2000 or 90. Talk about 2000?
No, 98.
98.
They won 99.
They won in 98, but they were always in the top, around that time. So I went on to visit Tennessee. I really enjoyed it, honestly. It was just so different from me growing up in Florida. And then you go there, it wasn't really not a whole lot of black people, to be honest with you. So it's a little different, but I really enjoyed it. Southern Cal recruited me a heavy because I became a national recruit. And they were on the rise at the time. They were getting guys from all over. Like from that Army All-American game I went to, it was like dudes, like, I'm going to SC. I'm like, man, what they talking about SC? I had never been to California, so I'm like, talking to Pete Carroll, but they didn't really want to recruit me. They didn't get Ted Ginn. Ted Ginn was the number 1 corner. I was the number 2 corner coming out, so they didn't get Ted Ginn. So then they started recruiting me. So I felt like they didn't really want me. They just didn't get him because he went to Ohio State. So they're like, okay, we're on the next guy. I would say I went on a visit to North Carolina because I like North Carolina basketball.
Right.
And I love Michael Jordan, my favorite athlete of all time. So I'm like, I got to go see the Jordan stuff. But I really wasn't going to North Carolina. In the back of my mind, I always knew I was going to Florida State just because that was like I used to dream about that as a kid. So my process was easy. It was like you entertain and talk, but you already know where you want to go.
Yeah.
Bobby Bowden.
So that's where we're going to next. So it's funny because I had to talk a little bit about, somebody asked me about Dion. Dion made a quote like, I would buy this house. He's like, I ain't really worried about going. They want to know what's coming on in my house. And I'm like, well, I don't know what Dion talking about because I know that played in the Biden White. The whole thing about Doak Boyz, we'll interview other guys, but there's Seminole players and then there's Doak Boyz.
Mm-hmm.
And all that means with Doak Boyz is that I think you can't be considered a Doak Boy if you never did mat drills.
Correct.
You got to do mat drills. If you didn't get
old school mat drills.
Yeah, old school. Yeah, if you didn't, I see what Mike and them doing now, and I got no problem with that, right? No problem. Yeah. I ain't in a rush to join them. I can tell you that much. I remember when the old head told, he's like, man, y'all ain't doing the real match. Y'all get water. I said, well, then you come bring your ass over here and show us how it's done now. Yeah. But it's just not the same. And I went over there, saw G Ross, and G Ross was like, hey, man, we can't do that to them kids, man. We can't. Like, I've tried to. In coaching, I've tried to get the mindset and like send them back. Like, dude, you'll be there. I'll be there till midnight. I ain't got the kind of time. But did Bobby come visit your house? And what was that experience like? And then did everybody come and try to get a peek of who this old man is?
Yeah. So he used to come to the Jacksonville to recruit kids and stop by high schools all the time. But then they couldn't really talk to the player around this time. They can come see you, whatever. So I never really got a chance to talk to him much. I would just say hi. Walk by, whatever. I actually met him at camp. I went to a Florida State camp my junior year. I think my 10th grade year and junior year, 10th and 11th grade year high school. So I got a chance to meet him there, and I'm just looking at him. You know what I mean? Like, humbly, I think a part of nowadays, the kids expect, they feel like they're the prize. Back in the day, it was opposite. I felt like, man, I'm honored to be a part of here. It's been my dream to practice on this field, to see Coach Bowden. Kind of like how people feel about Saban.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's really the only, because again, we're not that much young, but even when we came up, so you had Bobby.
Yep.
You had Joe Pa.
Yep.
You had, Corso hadn't stepped down yet from where he was at. Spurrier came back into the game during that time.
Yep.
You had these the coaches that were larger than life,
correct,
with their personalities that came in. We actually even talked about that with Trav J. Travis was talking about how all these different coaches came in, and I guess he spurned South Carolina because a coach came in their house. He was known for his shades before Pete Carroll. Okay. He was known for his shades, and he came his parents is Panamanian. He's like, man, how this man gonna come in my house and not take his glasses off, man? You ain't even gonna look at us. But yeah, so people don't realize that, because social media has made it is not a bad thing, but it's made the player even that much bigger.
Correct.
And then it was like, no, this is Bobby Bowden.
Correct.
This is Bobby Bowden.
So when he came to my house on a visit, obviously I didn't tell nobody. I just kept it mom, grandma, brothers. That's it. So nobody knew he was coming. No, it was none of that going on. My mom cooked dinner. She made some baked chicken, some rice, some veggies. I remember it like it was yesterday. Him and Coach Andrews came at the same time. So I had Coach Bowden and Coach Andrews come, and they ate dinner. We chopped it up. We ain't talk about football at all. It was more so I remember this though. Bobby was like, you can come out and maybe help out on special teams. He He said those maybe. He said you can come in and maybe help out on special teams like your freshman year. Because you know he didn't believe in playing young players originally, unless you was just like somebody that was physically ready to play. And obviously they probably looked at me like he's a developmental kind of player, just because of my size. So he's like, you maybe can come on special teams. Everywhere else I went, you know, they was putting me up at the nickel. You got a chance to be the starting nickel. You got a chance to be the third corner. When I go here, and I'm like, I feel like he kept it real.
Gotcha.
And once he kept it real with me, I'm like, and he's a legendary coach. I believe it. And Coach Andrews, you know, he's the guy that's going to be coaching me. He was the defensive coordinator, but he's the DB coach. So I had been coached by him at the camp, you know, for a few years. And I'm going to tell you why they offered me from Mat Drills. They offered me from Mat Drills, like doing the seat roll, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Like so he's running the drill and he's, you know, obviously seat roll, go left, go right, go forward, go back. And he was like, dang, he said, who is this kid? He came up to me, he's like, where you from? I'm like, Jacksonville. What high school you go to? Mandarin. He's like, hey, make sure y'all get his information. And then a couple weeks later, when the season first started, he came to my first game.
Oh, wow.
And they offered me, boom, that was my junior year. Because
you remember who y'all played that game?
Played Reigns.
Oh shit.
Him and Odell came.
Okay.
Played Reigns my junior year, the first game. And Coach Andrews was there and Odell was there. And they came. Obviously, Mandarin was supposed to be good. Reigns was good at the time as well. And they saw me at camp, and I started getting a little buzz just from.
So that was back when Reigns didn't duck Mandarin. Because right now there's rumors that Reigns is ducking Mandarin.
You know what? You know what? I don't know. I have no idea about it. Now I would say this. I would say this. You know, it's so crazy because, like you said, kids come and go everywhere. So, bro, one year your program gonna be like this, the next year is down.
Like Reigns got to stick.
Oh yeah.
All jokes aside, I don't know how they going. They got some kids at Reigns.
They definitely do. They definitely do.
Like I joked with one of them. I said last year y'all didn't want to stay. I didn't want to do that to y'all. I got a conscience. I said we would have beat. I won't say what I said to the coach, but I said we would have beat y'all very, very by a lot.
Yeah.
This year would have been
correct.
It would have been a lot better game. I don't because we got cats too, but they got some. They done a good job. But I was just joking because you said that, man, first game of the season now.
Yeah, first game of the season. So that's how that happened. And after that, it was, you know, it was easy. Once the house visit came, I waited till signing day. I waited till the last minute to like confirm it, but I kind of knew after that visit, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be here.
Completely. I really wish they go back. Signing day used to mean so much, man.
Come on, man. It's so watered down now. You got the early signing day, then you got this. I get it. You got kids committing before they season start. Right. I'm like, what the hell? I get it because now the transfer portal is involved because you got the transfer portal, and if you don't commit early, then you might not have a spot. Right. So I understand that part of it, but I'm like, signing day was like you watching TV, you trying to figure out.
Oh, it was intense. It was crazy.
Yeah, like, you like, man, who got the fax in?
Yeah,
do they do faxes still?
Man,
they probably sending the shit on email.
Email now.
Come on, man.
Like, it's not even the same.
You're up to a real fax machine. Like, we got such and such fax.
Like we had to make sure because when my year, we had just moved schools. So my high school was on FSU's campus.
Yeah.
And then we moved to Southwood, and they was just like, do we even have a fax machine set up like for the? I was like, damn, I was like, because again, I've seen 5 fax machines in my entire life. Like I don't, but that's again, it was just so much. Like they had the TV, you had your regional stuff, you had ESPN,
crazy.
Like so, especially for you, because Book had just broke open the whole thing by signing on. I was messing with him. I was like, we hated Book because he signed on ESPN national TV, and I'm like, man, why you? Like, who was this kid? Because we didn't get a chance to know each other because there wasn't no social media.
Right.
So the only way you know about guys is through. It wasn't even internet like that.
Nah, right. I mean, you saw it, but you didn't. What platform you looking on?
Right.
Only thing was out there was Rivals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Rivals.com. That
Wasn't
was
no
it.
247. Wasn't none of that stuff.
No, nothing. You couldn't even see guys' highlights.
Dude.
Until they got there. You like, oh, let me. So, you know, when you first got to college, cats be putting their highlight tape in the
I told these kids they really don't know the struggle, dog.
You're like, bro, let me see your tape. I mean, it's crazy. But I would say this, that's why I think we appreciated things a lot more. Because, like, you know, and coaches really took their time to recruit, because you got to go and do your homework. Nowadays, you may look at a clip and they like, oh, he's this size. I saw this clip. We offering him, and then he takes off, and you like, yeah, but did you go watch him a whole game?
Right.
You know, like, are you really doing your homework? You know, how he acts. You know, what's his upbringing.
Coach Bowden had this great saying they used to always say, they say it's the kids. The kids are out of control. The kids have changed. Say the kids are the same. It's the adults that have changed.
Yeah, bro.
He's like, they're just allowing more things to happen. And there's some of the adjustments, like, again, like, I got to get my recruiting class finished before this season, committed before the season starts. Things like that just take away from, like, I used to tell people the best cake in the world you're going to ever eat is your signing day cake. Like, it just tastes better. It tastes better than wedding cake. Tastes better than birthday cake. All of that stuff.
Don't say wedding cake, bro. That might piss some people off.
No, I mean, there's very few people that's on that timeline right there watching us that have done both.
Yeah.
So
I'm with you.
But you know, so you gave us the Bowden story, which is funny because a lot of people are just like, don't keep that cat in the bag, like, in the whole hood that showed up, or somebody finds out and there's people that you ain't ever even talked to, ain't seen, that's just trying to stop by the house just so they can see.
First of all, my mama wasn't having that. No. She like, we ain't just doing random people coming over to the house. Like, she wanted to keep everything, like, and plus me personally, like, you don't know, you know, like I said at the time, I never had a attitude to this day, or would never have an attitude like I made it. Or I'm that guy or whatever. It's more so like, I don't know what these people gonna come in here and say.
Not fair.
You know what I mean? I'm more so just like excited about the opportunity to have a dream, and they actually come sit in my living room. These are people that I watch like on TV, you know, faithfully, and now they coming to say hi to me.
You got Mickey Andrews. Most of the time we saw him on TV. Even in real life, is cussing and sunflower seeds coming. But then he's in the house, he's recruiting you, and I'm like, he is real. Like, but he's Mickey got two personalities though. There's Mickey coaching, and then there's Mickey not coaching. And maturity is realizing that, like, they're the same person, but like, he got to get something out of you on the football field.
Right.
Like, because, well, I tell you what, Mickey at Bobby's camp, I wanted to choke Mickey ass out. Real talk, because with Mickey, Mickey, and then you didn't have him. He was at Alabama at the time, but Coach Kynes was our linebackers coach.
Yeah, I remember him from camp. Coach Kynes at camp. Yeah.
And so I had to go over there, and I was with the linebackers during that time, and that them mat drills. Like, I remember doing them drills and doing all those different things, and they, I don't know how it was, but I felt like I was better prepared for coming to Florida State because I went to that camp.
I agree.
I knew how they were going to coach.
Because you know what hard work is. You understand, like, the standard of what's going on. They're not there. Nowadays, kids go to camp. They trying to, like, you know, bring them along. They loving up on them.
They wasn't
they like,
hey,
up on
that.
Get your ass over here. When you get here, this is what's going to happen if we decide to have you. So I think a lot of it is you know, just with Mickey, he's by far my favorite coach ever. The best coach I've ever had, and my favorite coach of all time. And even through the hard times, you know, him and I, the only time we had, like, I felt like, man, he don't like me, is when I first got to school there. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? They looking at me like, first of all, I had to have shoulder surgery when I got there. So I knew I was going to redshirt. And he used to call me little shit. Like, he didn't call me by my name. Hey, he used to call me little shit, and I'm like, yeah, okay. He's like, you little shit. So I'm like, okay. But what I did appreciate was I knew it. Like I didn't lose my confidence, anything like that. Obviously, every player, I don't care who you are or what level of recruitment you are, you feel insecure when you 1st get to college because you're trying to figure out your way. Like, do I belong here? B, like, what's my skill set? All right, where do I need to develop? You know, like even through your peers, like hazing and shit was real. Motherfuckers like cutting your hair bald. People like telling you to wrestle him. You know, just stuff like that. So you walking, and this your first time being away, and you walk into like a not a prison environment, but a controlled prison environment.
That's
you know exactly what I'm talking about.
That's exactly what I thought of. I described it to some. They were like, "What is it like being there?" I said, "Hey, man, first and foremost, I just watched all these motherfuckers on TV a few months ago. Like, I don't even know why I'm here. Like, and then you're seeing like cats just look like they just they just came.
I remember seeing your ass in that motherfucker. Excuse my language, but bro, when I first came in there, and they like, "Hey, these the running backs, the fullback, you and BJD," and I said, "Who gonna hit that?" The boys got these big legs, and they like, "Hey, man, we do live tackling in practice." I said, "Oh boy."
So what's funny is
how am I gonna hit this? So, I'm 155.
So goal line. This is how. I don't know what the fuck. I might have to ask Mickey, like, what made him do that? So I don't know if it wasn't no corners, but it was the safeties. They put them on the edge.
No, bro, it was corners, smoke technique.
Yeah, so
God.
They coming off the edge, right?
You cutting everything. You got to cut the lineman, the fullback, and you literally in a 3-point stance.
Yeah. I told
oh my God.
I used to tell K Hall. I used to tell Kyler Hall was my road roommate, and we did our combine training together. I used to say, "K, I'm gonna put you, so you gonna fuck around and get put in IR. Like, if you keep coming off this edge like that, man, bro, you better tell him to put one of them young bucks in there."
Bro, they put me in there. I remember when I first got there, and they like, everybody got to get a rep, smoke technique, goal line. So he put one corner in, next corner go. I'm talking about, and it's straight run. It's either you got a tight end, a lineman pulling the fullback, or nobody.
Right.
And I'm like, "Oh, I hope they go the other way so I can just go straight down the line." When I got up in there, dog, one of them linemen, I tried to cut one of them, but they put their damn knee on my head. I thought my shit was broke. I'm like, I hear Mickey, "Get your ass up." So afterwards, he said, "Hey, I don't think we want to see you do smoke technique no more." I'm like, "Coach, if they put a receiver out here, I got him, but not in this." I'm like, "It's too much fire, bro."
I get it. My initiative, because y'all would go do. We did goal line. And
goal line tackling.
No, excuse me, my bad. Inside drill.
Inside drill. Yeah.
And I'd never seen anything like that before, man. Like, not in my entire life. Nobody, you could not have. Like, I was terrified. I literally was sitting in they like, "All right, up here." I'm trying to back up to where don't nobody see me, like letting the reps. And then, "Hey, he ain't got no," and then one of them old heads, "He ain't got no reps, coach. Get him in there." And I'm like, man, man, I'm talking about people screaming. I seen somebody do a flip, like what do they call it? When you a cartwheel, but in the air.
Yeah.
So like he got thrown, and then I was just like, man,
I'm talking about this is full contact. At that point, I said, thank God I play corner, and I'm over here doing these one-on-ones because it's nowhere in the world I would have been quit.
The only reason I didn't quit because I knew I had to get through it, and it was a play. Eric Powell, so he was gone well before you got there. EP was dark as that roadcaster, right? Like, we had some. I don't know how we had the dark. We by far had some of the darkest players you'll ever think. Big Bunk was dark. Cam was dark.
Yeah.
But EP was, and he had nothing but goals in his mouth. And EP said, "Hey, man, I know you ain't going as hard as you can, man, and I need these reps. So what I'm gonna tell you, this is what I'm gonna do. Every day you're gonna leave here with a concussion or a headache, unless you fight back." And I was like, well, damn. So it was more so. That's why when people say it's like, I'm like, yeah, I kind of see it. You either gonna fight, you either gonna get involved. Oh, actually, it's the Debo. You're gonna get involved, or I'm gonna knock your ass out.
I'm gonna knock you out.
Make a choice.
But you know what? In all honesty, man, that stuff made you tough. It made you like overcome your fear. Because once you got through that, you like everything else is cool. Like, you know what I mean? And then if you go in there and do a good job, it's nothing like your teammates saying, bro, I saw you in there.
Mm-hmm.
But man, you went in there and ran somebody over. Like, that's like the biggest compliment you can gain. You know, the coaches, obviously, you want their approval, but the confidence that you gain from your peers telling you you did something well. And for me, that was more so like in the summertime, you know, you come and we doing one-on-ones. Like, this old school now. Like, we out there at the conditioning, and they
Right
like,
after that,
as soon as we doing one-on-ones, straight one-on-ones, quarterbacks throwing, and it's like, I want to see who got it. If you duck and hide, you soft, you probably ain't gonna play here. And that's how you know. If you step up in front of the line and you may have some skill, then your older teammates. So I remember Brian McFadden, Jerome Carter, those guys were, seniors when I was freshman.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to jump in there one-on-ones every single time.
That was the year the FAMU boys came.
Everybody.
Across, and I seen B-Mac. I used to be like, damn, I didn't even know that was pop. B-Mac like B-Mac like the cave, one of them rattlers chested, boy. Like B-Mac would do this jump jam.
Yeah.
And just
And when I tell you, when you build confidence. So like when I first got there, it's like, okay, I didn't know if I fit in or not, but I knew I could play. Like, you know what I mean? I had inner confidence, but you just don't know. So then we get out there and we start doing one-on-ones, ball drills. I'm like, oh shit, I can catch better than all these dudes. I got very good feet. So the older guys are like, I remember Leroy Smith told me, he's like, bro, you're gonna be good. You're gonna be nice. And I'm thinking to myself, hell, I'm 8th on the depth chart. What you talking about? You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think like, just building that confidence of, and then once the season started, I didn't know nothing. Like my freshman year, I didn't know the defense. I didn't know what was going on. I just knew one-on-ones. This is the only thing I'm looking forward to in practice is one-on-ones. Because I know I'm redshirting. I'm not really getting a whole lot of reps. So every day in one-on-ones, I got to at least get 2 to 3 reps. So when we go in there and watch film in one-on-ones, they see some potential in me. And that was my whole goal, my real freshman year. And then after that, I started 4 years after that. But that's where I got my confidence from. So
going back into all that, because that was fun, just reliving some of that.
Is that the new or the old stuff
Oh,
here?
that's I can tell by them cleats. That's new.
And that's the gym. That's in the gym.
Indoor.
That's indoor.
Nah, no. Somebody asked me like you had an indoor. I said, man, nah. We used to be out that thing with. You know what it's like praying against Bobby Bowden? Like, that's a battle you're gonna lose. Like when they say the battle is not yours, it's the Lord's. The only person who can outpray Bobby is probably Jesus. But Bobby be in that tower, and now he was definitely afraid of lightning.
Oh yeah.
But I have seen scenarios where it is raining, it is dark clouds over everything except for the practice field. And I'm like, man, okay, it's period 17. I know a drop of rain finna hit us. That rain don't hit until right after period 24 is done.
And it's summertime. It rain every day 3 o'clock, but somehow it does not rain during
with Bobby up in that tower. Bobby up there, we used to say he had it because that's what Nextels would be. He used to say he got the direct connect the guy. Like it go right to him. The only way, like if it rain, we go into the we go to Tully. But they got that don't even Mat Drills was so hard that I don't even think they can have our somebody died.
Oh, that's why.
Twin died. Like doing Mat Drills.
Bro, I'm gonna tell you, like I remember I used to have to take the Pepto-Bismol pill before every Mat Drill, or else I'm throwing up. Like I took the Pepto-Bismol the first day. This is a crazy story. Dog, we had Mat Drills, not my first, this had to be my sophomore or junior year. And I decide I'm gonna wear these damn Deion Sanders shoes. Deion had shoes just came out. I'm gonna wear these Deion Sanders. I'm gonna be swagged out in Mat Drills. Man, my feet was hurting so bad. Bro, I finished Mat Drills with no shoes on. Dude. My feet was burning so bad. They said if you stop, you get a 0, and you coming back the next day before this. I said I can't quit. Dog, I threw up, took my shoes off. I'm like, dog, this is real. Like.
Mat Drills.
I had tears coming out my eyes.
This is why I say
they're serious.
They don't understand because, like, so it's nowhere in here. All right, so So just picture like this. So the mat, you have to sprint. So just it's called Mat Drills. 3 stations. It's 3 18-minute stations. The first station is split between 2 drills.
Mm-hmm.
So you got basically high 40. You're sprinting 40s for 9 minutes, and then you're doing speed lap. We can get through that. It's enough people. You're going 2 by 2 on the 40s. So all I know, once I run my 40, I'm gonna have about 10 more, get my recovery back.
All right.
Mentally, I gotta do because they gotta tell you the drill. So I really only gotta get through 7 minutes of this. If I get through 7 minutes right here, then we're gonna break. They gotta explain it to me for a couple minutes, and then boom. Then the other one they call the Andrews drill. Now that was just
that's the agility drill.
That's just straight. We got Coach Lilly. Coach Lilly gonna love on you a little bit. That's gonna be a little bit of your break. Yeah. But then you got Mickey. And that's 6 minutes of you getting motherfucked. It's
no words.
It's like you just gotta go. And then you got Cons, not Cons. It was Cons, and then Steele had the ladder. Yep. Not the ladder, the
chutes.
Yeah, the chutes. Now these chutes are metal. And I seen bump pop up. If you get too high, you're gonna hit the top of that metal, split your head open. But you can't quit.
Yeah.
You got to keep going because if you get out of that drill to get stitched up and you miss your rep, that's a 0.
That's a 0.
But then the mat is 18 minutes, ain't no breaking it up. It is 4 lines, 4 people deep. Odell, and then at the time, he's dead now, but my
Jody
coach, Jody Allen. Jody.
Yep.
I remember I came early and Jody was asleep on the mat. Like, this is how much Jody loved to torture us. Jody in there ready to go. Now, with that mat, luckily I didn't have to go through that one. I seen a guy throw up.
On the mat.
And then he had to go. But because that's your line.
That's your line. You cannot screw
You got to go through it. And they're going to make you sprint to the cone that's literally put on the edge of the mat.
Yep.
And then from the mat to the wall, you got to chop your feet. And the mat to the wall is maybe 2 yards. But you got to sprint through the cone. Like, you're at this cone, you got to sprint off the mat.
Yep.
Man, I seen my dude, Lauren Sam. Lauren's like, you know what, bump this. I'm going to show them. Lauren ran into the mat. So that's before a concussion could get you out of all stuff.
Yeah.
So he got himself a little mild concussion. He thought that was going to give him, and gave him a 0. He had to come back to the next mat drill and do mat drills before
you start. You got to do a workout before everybody else come back. So it's terrible.
Like, as an adult, for almost a decade afterwards, maybe even more, in February, I had like night terrors of like oversleeping mats.
Yeah.
Because if you're gonna oversleep mats, you might as well go and get your sleep.
That's
the best sleep you're gonna ever get, because
you're gonna pay for it.
But even with that, it could be mats. What's your favorite Mickey story?
My favorite Mickey story. Ooh. I got so many, bro. My favorite story. I mean, I would say something positive because mostly everybody says like the crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But I would say we are in training camp, my redshirt freshman year. So Crow got hurt. He tore his ACL, and we battling out to see who's gonna start at corner. And back in the day, you don't go to the coach's office. You go to the coach's office, you're in trouble. You know what I mean? It's not like it is now. Well, hey, we're going to see how you doing, kind of thing. Nah, you in trouble. If they want to find you, then they'll find you, or they'll send somebody else to get you to like get a message through to you. But they don't really call you and talk to you. So, it was in camp, and we're playing Miami the first game. We playing in Tallahassee. I think we ranked like number 3. They ranked number 2. And we're playing on Monday night, Labor Day, only game on. So Mickey calls me. He's never called me before. And so he's like, hey, I want to talk to you in the morning. He's like, can you come to my office in the morning? What time you had class? I'm like 10. He's like, okay, I'll see you at 8. I'm like, oh, hell no. I'm like, what did I do? Like, so I couldn't sleep because I'm like, he didn't say nothing.
He just said, I need to talk to you.
I need to talk to you. So I'm like, oh man, like here we go again. Like, what's gonna happen? Like, I have no idea. So then I went to his office. I got there like 7:45, and they were in like a staff meeting or something like that. So then he came out. I'm sitting in his office waiting, and he's like, I walked in there. He's like, "Who told you to sit down?" So I'm like, "Damn." Yeah. so I'm like, I stood up. He's like, "No, I'm just playing." So then he's like, "I'm just joking. Have a seat." So then he's like, "Hey, look, I hadn't started a freshman at corner in a long time." He's like, "You're gonna start for us, playing against Miami." And he's like, "You're gonna start for us. You're gonna do a good job. Coach Bowden want to talk to you." So then I go to Coach Bowden office. Coach Bowden like, "Hey, we're gonna make the decision. Drew Rutherford's gonna start at quarterback." Nobody knew who was gonna be the starting quarterback. So he was battling out, you know what I mean? He's like, "Drew's gonna start at quarterback, and you're gonna start on defense. Y'all gonna be the only 2 freshmen that's gonna start for us in this game." He's like, "We're gonna announce it to the media." And he's like, "So if people start asking you questions and stuff like that, like just make sure you carry yourself the right way." That's the happiest moment I had in my life.
Dude, that's sports. Like that Will Smith.
Bro, that's the happiest moment like I had in my life.
Just gotta just like,
that's the happiest moment I had in my life. And it started off with Mickey calling me the night before. And I'm thinking, I'm like, "Oh boy, here we go." Like, I don't know what he's gonna say. Right. I have no idea. And he shows no sign of like
that's Mickey.
Empathy for anything until like, you know, it's something that he really like is there for you. So when he asked that, when he told me that, like I had to go to practice. Like I ain't know, like, you know, but in my mind, I'm hyped. I'm ready to practice. You know what I mean? And at that moment right there, that's when the whole is shifted. Our relationship shifted because now I felt like he didn't really have that relationship with a lot of the players. Like he was at them because he felt like they couldn't handle certain. If he was soft on them, then they would take advantage of it or do just bad things. But for me, he was always like talking to me about leadership, like you carry yourself well. Like he would say this stuff, like on the low. He wouldn't talk to none of it. He wouldn't say it in front of people, but I would see him in the hallway. He's like, "I see it's good you watching film." You know what I mean? He liked how I did stuff the right way. And so him and I had a really, really good relationship for like all the years I was there. Not saying he didn't coach me hard or get on me, but at that point, I never took anything personal.
Right.
So that's probably was the story. That was the time where him and I, you know, became close when he called me to his office and told me like, "Hey, you're gonna be starting." And he's like, "We playing man." I'm like, "All right, cool."
Yeah.
So that let me know that he had confidence in me. And I don't even think Coach Bowden wanted that to happen because he didn't want to start freshman at DB. Mm-hmm. He didn't like starting freshman corners just because that's like you lose the game off.
Right.
That. You know what I mean? And
so, that game was a defensive battle.
It was.
Y'all did your thing too. Again, I was talking about K Hall. K Hall had 2 picks that game.
Mm-hmm.
We had though they muffed it. We didn't. I mean, I guess we ended up getting it, but they muffed the field goal.
Mm-hmm.
It was a hell of a game. But when you were saying that about the game, like you were describing it, I was hearing Coach because every day we broke out of camp, Coach still be like, "All right, man, listen, ready? Monday night, right?
Yeah.
Prime time, 8 p.m. Florida State, Miami. I'm gonna be there. You gonna be there?
Yeah, I'm gonna be there.
I'm gonna be there.
You gonna be there?"
It was just, I told somebody that season could have been so much better, but there was a lot of other things that went down.
Mm-hmm.
All I remember was every workout in the off season was a beat Miami drill at the end of it.
Yes.
So we focused so much on beating Miami.
Yep.
That once we beat Miami, it was like,
shit, we accomplished our goal.
I was like, what the hell? Let's go. What else we got right here?
Correct.
But yeah, that was funny. But also, you know, I think a lot of people don't realize I love the way that I was coached because it's helped me so much since I've played. Because I realized, like, because Billy used to, Coach Sexton cussed us out my freshman and sophomore year. I got cussed out when I did right. I got cussed out when I did wrong. I got cussed out when because BJ was the starter then.
Yeah.
I got cussed out if BJ messed up.
Right.
I got cussed out for everything. I was just like, I couldn't go. I didn't know which way was up. But then when I started playing, then about midway through my sophomore year, when he realized that you can't say nothing to me is gonna phase me, I'm gonna get the job.
Right.
He was cool. But then I thought about all the environments that we've had to play in.
Correct.
If you can't take what they're saying to you in this controlled environment, you ain't gonna be able to make it. Because I've heard some outrageous stuff at Florida. I heard some. Matter of fact, against Boston College, I was scoring touchdowns, and I didn't score a touchdown. We beat Boston good enough. And fans said, "You suck. You ain't even scored a touchdown this week." I'm like, damn, that's why I suck. It's like, ain't no other reasons why I suck. I'm like, that's. But then it's kind of like when you start hearing people say stuff to you, you be like, that's all you got.
That's it.
So you ain't hear what this man,
right.
Like, because I remember hearing Mickey giving people the business when I was on scout team.
Correct.
Like, the best part of you was tripping down your mama's leg. I wish I knew your father 18 years ago. I'd have gave him 50 cents for the car. Right. Like, you hearing like a guy because you messed up. You didn't read the card right.
Yeah.
The guy questioning why you even live here.
Right.
Why you even living.
Right.
Like, ain't nobody gonna say nothing. Like, now
it was funny. To me, it was funny. Like, I never took it personal. I'm like, this is my humor for the day.
Right.
Like, I'm gonna go out here and I can't wait for him to say something crazy. Or one of these coaches say something crazy. So I can laugh out here.
And that's what happened. It's part of the hazing is that.
Correct.
Because they don't know that everybody done heard this phrase before. But now I want to see how, oh man, you over there or we would do, I think you had gotten there. It's my sophomore year. We whooped the defense ass. Like, I mean, go 8 plays and goal line period.
Yeah.
We scored all 8 plays.
Oh yeah.
We scored
that's gassers.
Yeah, we scored every drill in 11 on 11. So we went from 11 on 11 into goal line. We just whooped their ass. And it was the hottest day I've ever seen in my life. And Mickey was out there we was like, oh, we finna get that. He gonna get y'all ass. But man, Randy had to come in and tell him he had to cut him off. Right. Like, he almost got in a fight with Randy.
Yeah.
And
Randy's the trainer.
Yeah, Randy's the trainer. Yeah, great athletic trainer. I actually looked at that and I was like, damn, I didn't know if Randy ever had our back. Yeah. When I seen him do that, I said, okay, Randy ain't gonna let him go, ain't gonna ever let him go too far. Right. Man, Randy seen Mike Bullware drop. That's what he said. All right. That's the most in shape person out here. If he dropping, you're doing too much. And Mickey's like, both of them, because neither one of them are very tall.
Right.
So it's like watching 2 midgets arguing with each other. Yeah. But Mickey's personality was Mickey's personality make you feel like he's 7 foot.
Correct.
But like he ain't really that tall. Man, he's done some mean shit, but it's cool. I told people when I saw him for one of the first times at Tag, like I went to Tag's introductory presser. And he had just came off hip surgery. I was like, man, I thought about hip checking. I really wanted to go. I wanted to go in there and just hit him one time. But then I was like, that motherfucker's sturdy though.
Right.
What if I don't get him good and that motherfucker grab me?
Nobody's Mickey is that guy. Nobody's ever seen him fight, but you just assume he can fight.
You know he got something. Don't nobody talk like that. That can't squabble a little bit, man.
Oh my god.
But that was again, dope story too about hearing about this about how you started. Now somebody in here added a question. We can go up a little bit. Yeah. Talked about you on special teams, and I want to talk about that because that's what Bobby said. Well, you can come in and contribute, which ironically you came in and started, but they were talking about your block kicks at Clemson.
Oh, okay.
Block extra points.
Yeah, so I had two returns for touchdowns. Well, one was a 2-point conversion, they kicked the field goal. Actually, Lawrence Timmons blocked the kick.
Okay.
And I picked it up and scored a touchdown. And then Patrick Robinson blocked the other one, and I picked it up and got 2. But I got 2 in one half, so I outscored the Clemson offense.
Oh wow.
And on those 2 plays. So that was kind of like 2 historical plays. But looking back on it, them dudes did the work. You know what I mean? Like they blocked the kick. They were 2 first-round picks. Patrick Robinson and Lawrence Timmons. They blocked the kicks. I picked it up. Now, I would say this, like that was one of my I found the end zone a lot in college. I think I probably had like 8 touchdowns in college. Dang. You know what I mean? And I had a couple returns, pick sixes. So that was ball skills, kind of like my biggest quality in scooping and scoring, whether that's intercepting the ball, scoring. Like I had a knack for.
So now that I got a defensive player, so walk us to people pick on me. Because there's a clip when Chris Ricks threw an interception in 03, Sean Taylor.
Oh, yeah.
I ran to the side. I'm not even going to hold you. I didn't throw the interception. I'm running to the sideline. Chris, you gonna make that tackle. I seen what defenses do in this scenario, and I ain't finna get lit up. So walk us through the moment you get the ball and you hear and somebody screams, "I ski." What is that like? Walk us through from a defensive mindset. What is going on when you have the ball? Obviously, you're trying to score, but you don't have the ball. What is somebody supposed to try to do on defense in an I ski?
Well, the only thing if I had a ball, the only thing I'm thinking is don't get knocked out by offensive linemen.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like your awareness has to go up because we're not used to having the ball.
Yeah.
But I played offense, Pop Warner in high school, so it felt like, oh, finally, you get excited. But from a defensive standpoint, you back in the day, this is not now.
You can't do this now.
Like everything is about.
Yeah.
First, we looking for the quarterback. We're gonna lay him down. Like we trying to put the quarterback to sleep. The next thing is we looking for the receiver who they were throwing the ball to. So he the first target. We trying to put him down. Now we don't want the fullbacks. We don't really want to mess with them because they probably, shorter, stocky guys. Yeah. So we hoping one of our D linemen can get a hold of him. And then just depending, because you got some guys who bout that life on offense, where you like, oh, he ready to run at you and make a tackle. But then some people are like, on defense, we just trying to like, this is our chance to peel back. Peel back block is if everybody's running this way and you're running the opposite way, we trying to peel back and like crack back block. Nowadays, that's a penalty. Like you'll get kicked out of the game for that. But you building that wall and the person with the ball is like, he got the goal in his hand, and we all trying to get the goal to the end zone. So it's like that doesn't really happen a whole lot. So it's like a big ball of excitement when it does happen. So, and that's a game changer. And back in the day, we didn't even have Instagram and didn't have like those platforms. But you just want to get your picture taken.
Right.
If your picture got put up in the school newspaper, or if your picture was on the highlight tape for next week or whatever, that's like a moment. Nowadays, they make a play in practice and they on Instagram and they like, he's a lockdown guy. You like, that's a practice play. Right. Who the hell posts practice clips? Like, I never understood that. Like, what ballers are posting practice clips? But just if you scoring in a real game or you doing and making a big play, like, to where it's going to be, I got a chance to be on ESPN.
That's really the thing.
Correct.
Was to try to get on ESPN.
Yeah, you get on ESPN, you like, oh, okay, great. So
you got the clips?
Oh, one of them.
Oh, that's one of them, yeah.
Yeah, you use
head back, balls to the wall.
When that head go back.
Everybody saw me. I'm it's going down. Nah, I'm gonna be in the newspaper. They like
really strange.
Bro, I'm gonna tell you what. That was my first game starting. I played the whole game. I got defensive player of the week, ACC player of the week that game, right? And so afterwards, all my brothers, my homeboys, like everybody from back home and just people in my family, they came to that game. It was my first game playing, first game starting. So we had the biggest party. I mean, bro, we walked back and it was like a movie, bro. Like all these girls, they like, of course your family had your t-shirts on.
Yeah,
they really don't know who I am. So I'm like, hey, man, we're gonna have a little party. So everybody had their doors open. I had this. And that was like one of the best nights I had in college right after that game. And the game ended late. So, and I didn't drink or nothing like that in college. I never drank. But I used to hang out like after the games, and I think I got that from Leon because Leon used to throw them big old barbecues.
Oh, yeah.
You throw them big barbecues. And I'm like, man, I can't wait till I get my own, get out of this dorm room so I can have me a party or get together. So
Leon,
that was a real good time.
I got to get Leon, Lorenzo. Dog, we had so much fun, dog. Especially our junior years when everybody did numbers. Our senior year was still fun too, but like,
everybody do their own thing in senior year.
Yeah, because we all knew it was coming to an end, and you trying to get everything straight. But like, man, we were going to. I still don't know how the fuck I got anything done. I don't know how, because the schedule is rigorous, but you found time to have fun, and when you have fun, it was crazy. So Tuesday nights, BW3, we be up there.
B-dubs.
Leon got the tab. Leon like, everything on me, dog. We good. So we in I don't know how you pay. It doesn't matter. Statute of limitations over anyway.
Right.
But Leon's over there. There's chicks there, all kinds of stuff. Man, we having a great time there. Wednesday, I forgot. We went somewhere on Wednesday nights. We chilled out on Thursday because we traveling on Friday.
With the moon on Wednesday.
No, that's what it was. We was at the moon. Remember, did you remember what Odell used to say every Wednesday? Now as you said that, hey, man, listen. Hey, I know it. Hey, check. Curfew at 11. Don't be out there.
Curfew?
Yeah. I'm like, what the hell is curfew? I'm like, man, I was living in the bird. Don't be out there at that moon place now. Out there doing what you do. Like, I was like, damn, man, shut the fuck up. We're going to be right there. Then on Saturday, we would either hit, I would get us in Grown Folks Night, or we would be at on the Strip. Tennessee. I remember one time we played Clemson. As soon as we got off the plane, I went straight to Yanni's, went everywhere, man.
Yeah.
But nah, that shit was, again, I don't even know if I would want to do it now because there's a camera phone everywhere. It's just too much.
We call it the feds, bro.
Yeah,
that's the feds, man. I honestly, I could not, like, the things that I did then, and just even how I was talking. You know what I mean? Like, I was a respectable gentleman, but I still used to, like, we playing cards.
Yeah,
like I'm cursing like a dog. I'm north side, and it's like I wouldn't want nobody to see me like be that way.
Right.
You know what I mean? Unless I want to put it out there. And I think a lot of it is like, you know, even as an adult now, you know, people have phones out. Like, I done been in, you know, places where, you know, we having an intimate conversation and somebody like recording it.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't even want to go around strangers like that.
Right.
And back in the day when you're young, you hang around nothing but strangers.
We don't know how.
So you couldn't imagine, like, you know, trying to holler at a girl and she like taking a picture of you. That's like, think about that.
That's the wild part, because I mean, you got one. I couldn't have had, like, Facebook had just came around, but you ain't really have nothing on Facebook.
Nobody, it wasn't no live or none of this stuff. It was
like,
nothing.
Like I told the guy, the amount of non-work that these boys got to do now to be able to get to a girl, like, and then the girls, when they get rejected or whatever, now they putting that, oh, well, you wasn't saying that when you was trying to holler at me. I'm like, damn, dog, y'all would have had no fun. We would have definitely served.
It's too much.
Stay away from her.
Too much snitching.
Yeah, man.
And then people would know all your business.
Yeah,
it was almost like only time people knew your business back in the day was what kind of car you had.
Right.
I seen you back then over at college Park.
Yeah.
Who you going to see over there?
Yeah, you know that car.
But now it's like people got locations on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can be at a party and somebody else taking the video and they saw you in the background. Like, how can you get away with that? You can't even lie. You know what I mean? Like, you can't even lie. Back in the day, I did my most damage in Tallahassee on my 2-wheel bike before I got a car. Like, before I got a car, I was riding that bike everywhere. I was all around. Then when I got a car, it was like, oh, shit, it's over.
I remember some of the cats, I ain't gonna put the names out there, but some of the cats in your class they got active they freshmen. They was hitting everything. Yeah. Walking. I told one of them, I said, man, boy, I said, boy, yeah, some of y'all try to go to hell on scholarship with some of the people that y'all hit.
This the thing, man. And I would say this all the time. Like, how you move is very important. You know what I mean? Like, you can have fun. You could, you know, have multiple women. You're young, you're single, but it's how you do it. Because, and this is for even kids to this day or adults, you don't want your rep to be known as a certain thing, because once you're seen in the coach's eyes as a party kid, it's hard for them to take that off. You know what I mean? So you just, and this is what I learned in college, but in pro football, I learned that a lot. Like, your image, like, if you're at work, you at work. When you leave work, you leave work. But you can't bring what you do outside of work into work. And that's what school and college sports and all these things are. You got to understand, like, the balance of separating it. And yeah, did I party and have fun? Yes, I did. But nobody ever expected that, or that I never brought that in. I
Right.
never came in smelling like alcohol. I never looked like I was hungover. I never had these kind of conversations in front of my coaches.
Right.
You know what I mean?
The other thing too is, and you obviously you played a lot longer than I did, and you've been there. We'll get into that too. Like covering the NFL and going to the combine and seeing all this stuff. And then I was listening to Travis bring up a story about something from high school. I try to tell these young guys, like, you guys have no idea the amount of information that the NFL has or will go to get about you.
Yeah.
I was like, they investigate every aspect. And so what you were saying, you don't want to have so much fun that they can go easily find out that you're a partier, because then there's going to be that, like right now, Malik Neighbors is considered a partier for whatever reason. They ain't worried about, when you get to a certain point, they're trying to figure out, how do we get you at a discount?
Yeah.
So that we can get you to perform. So that was actually some really good wisdom right there. So 8 touchdowns that you eight touchdowns you scored during your career at Florida State. Something like that.
Yeah, it's close to it.
That's a lot. I don't think people understand how hard it is. Yeah. It's hard to score on offense, but 8 scores on offense is pretty good. But to do that on defense, that's another a notch. I just want to make sure we reiterated that people who are just joining may not have known it. For some of those who don't know, if you don't know, you need to know. This is Tony Carter. I'm here with me at Big Game James _36. I'm just chopping it up about his life at Florida State. Favorite game that you played at Florida State? It doesn't have to be one if it was a couple.
I would say, obviously, that first game we talked about against Miami, just because that was my first game playing and starting, and we won. I would say one of my favorite games was playing against Matt Ryan in Boston College. That was the year he was like up for the Heisman and all that stuff, and he was throwing that thing like that was a tough game for me, just because I was getting roasted. You know what I mean? But I think it was one of my favorite games because I had to go through so many adversities in the game. And like, I got caught on a couple times, made a couple PBUs, gave up a touchdown. And for me, it taught me like how to battle. And they didn't have like really, really great receivers, but they had some pretty good receivers. But they had obviously a top 5 quarterback. At the time, we didn't know he was that. But I think that was one of my favorite moments, just because of the battle. We ended up winning the game, and Geno Hayes, God rest his soul, got a game-winning interception to close it out. But I think that was big, just because I grew up a lot, like as a human, as a competitor, and I think a lot of people that play sports and they play it on a college high level and big time games, they don't really understand what that means. Like, as fans, even now, we watch it, and somebody gets beat or somebody drops a pass, and people quick to say they trash or they're not good enough. But then you see, maybe a quarter later they make a big play, or maybe the next game. Like, a lot of people lose their whole career off of one screw up because they don't have enough courage to like either move forward, or they just go into a tank. And once you go into a tank, your opportunity comes and goes like this. And sometimes that happens in practice, but in the game, it really happens. So I think that had to be like maybe my sophomore year. And I was still young, playing a lot. And I mean, he throwing it, like he coming at me, like quick out routes. I got to tackle, deep ball, they attacking you. And you like, dang, I hadn't been in that position throughout my like college career at the time. So that like humbled me a lot to go back and move forward. So even when I got to playing pro football, that's how it feels. And you out there battling on Sundays against people who are a lot better than what you played before. But when you had that feeling and you able to bounce back through it, that's the difference. A lot of guys, people quit. They lay down, bro. People lay down, and not because they don't have the skill. Motherfuckers fake hurt. People, act like something wrong with them. when things get too big or they start getting embarrassed. But that day I grew up. I didn't quit. Never took myself out the game, which I probably could have. They asked me, was I okay? Yeah, I'm good. And so you got to deal with that embarrassment to grow up and be a better player and a better person. I think that's probably one of my favorite moments because I look back on, I probably gave up maybe not 100 yards, but close to it. And I'm like embarrassed, thinking about what my friends gonna say, thinking about how my teammates gonna look at me. But I came out a better person. I think that's why probably one of my favorite moments.
I mean, that's good. That's transparency. What I see now, especially through social media, a lot of people only promote their W's.
Mm-hmm.
They don't talk about your L's, but that's the thing about life and sports. You ain't gonna beat everybody. There's I remember I was talking with one guy. We were talking about Ventura Cypress and just one play against Miami. They gave him a big touchdown, and I'm like, dude, a lot went wrong on that. Oh man, well when I was playing, I'm like, where did you play? I was like, but then I stopped myself because I want to say, okay, you one of those guys. I was like, even Deion got a lot of people don't remember this, but Deion got roasted by a white boy on the Detroit Lions in the NFL. Like the boy had a career day.
Right. Sometimes
shit just happens.
But they're playing that level. Everybody, yeah.
Even going back to the Miami game, like I was whooping what's his boy? Strong I don't want to say because I might see him one day. But I was whooping him that game.
Mm-hmm.
He got me though. Did that motherfucker get me? Right. I'll never forget this play. Goal line. I'll go in that bitch and was it DJ Williams?
Yeah, that's one of my good friends.
I go in.
That's my homie.
And I'm thinking I've been getting them on goal line, and that motherfucker showed me why he was a top 15 pick.
Yeah.
I mean, he got up under me. I went to hit him this way. I go up in the air. I'm looking at Greg looking at me while I'm floating back. And I land back 5 yards in the same position that I went to go engage him. I don't know if his coach, if Randy was over there getting on him about me beating him. Mm-hmm. But at that moment, I'm looking at my hands like my hands did something.
Right.
Like, what did they do wrong? And before Billy could cuss me out, Mickey on the field cussing me out. So I'm just sitting here. But like you said, you couldn't just – what you gonna do? You're gonna fall into a slump. It's still a full game left. It was early in the game. Mm-hmm. If you fall down and die, you're gonna
it's over.
They're gonna keep beating you. Yeah. So, but a lot of people don't but talking about having to battle through it and you got the W. And what's worse than sometimes even what your friends say, it's still bad now because now social media, IG.
Oh,
I used to be worried about. I don't even know, man, what the hell they gonna say to me in the video in the
room. That's the worst.
When we break it down the film.
That's what you really care about. Like all you thinking about the whole day is when we get to this play. I just hope they skim through it.
Yeah.
But when you hear that, ooh,
yep,
and your homeboy say, ooh, and the coach say, we gotta get a little lower here, whatever they say, and you just sitting there like, only thing I used to think is the motherfucker that's not playing better not say nothing.
That part.
You better not say nothing if you're not even out there playing.
Because there's always somebody gonna be there. If I was in there,
right?
I would have done. No, you wouldn't. No. It would have been worse. It would have been worse. We would have lost. If you was supposed to be in there, you were supposed to be in there. But nah, that's interesting because most people, again, like I said, most people talk about that, but having to go through the adversity and those things. Started for 4 years. What was your? I know we talked a little bit about goal line and some of those things, but what was your welcome to college moment? Everybody has that moment where you're like, all right, this might be a little bit different.
I would say welcome to college. Shit. Big 4 tackling drills.
Oh shit, that's right. Y'all did do that. Oh, we gotta explain to people what Big 4 is.
Okay, so Big 4, Coach Andrews had tackling stations. We did these tackling stations basically 2-3 times a week. And we had angle tackling, chop block, or defeat the cut block and fit up a tackle, shed a block, tackle, and you may have hit the sled as well. And then those were Big 4 tackling stations. So then after that, Coach Andrews, we took the DBs and we did goal line tackling. Or we did some type of open field tackling. Like we worked on tackling a lot. Like we probably did more tackling drills than backpedaling drills. But that was a big part of like his development was tackling. And he's like, you know, one thing about it, like I'm going to develop guys to be great tacklers. I think that's why FSU and Mickey Andrews defense specifically was so good back in the day, because they were so physical and everybody understood like effort, tackling was at the top of the forefront. So crazy story. God damn, boy. So I first get there. First time we're doing tackling drills. Or the first week we get there, camp start my redshirt freshman year. And he says, we get done with Big Four, and now the DBs are getting ready to do close-up goal line tackling. We're like 5 yards apart, 8 yards apart. One guy's running the ball, can't let him get in. The guy, if he scores, you got to do up downs. The guy that doesn't score, he got to do up downs. So either way it goes, it's a loser and a winner.
Somebody doing up down.
So he says, Carter, get up here. My dumb ass, I thought he was talking to me. He talking to Jerome Carter. So I pop up there. I'm like, oh, my name Carter. So I get up there in the line. And so he's like, get your ass out of here. This week called me little shit. Little shit, get out of here. Grab me by my helmet and like, get out of here. So I'm like, dang, I can't get a rep. Like, I'm trying to go. My motto is this. I always like to go first in things that I don't like to do. Tackling drills, you know, if we doing one-on-ones, that's cool because I'm good at that. But insecure parts of my game, tackling drills, stalk block drills, stuff where you got like, it's all physical. So I like to go first so they can say, if we watch film, hey, I got my rep. You know what I mean? Like Tony went first. He ain't scared. So I got to fake it till I make it. I don't want to do it, but that's what that was my thing. So he said, Carter. Basically, he's trying to get Jerome to show everybody how to do the drill. My dumb ass pops up there. So he said, I tell you what, since you want to get up here, everybody get on the other side. Everybody go on the other side. I'm like, what the fuck? So everybody goes on the other side. Bro, every DB on the other side went against me. First time, boom. I'm in the end zone. I missed the tackle because we can't tackle legs in practice.
Right.
Because they don't want anybody to get hurt or whatever. So I got to tackle up high. That's when thudding came. That was thudding. So you got to basically like fit somebody up and either drive them back. He may blow the whistle if they fall or whatever. Now I'm 155. So everybody over there is bigger than me. Mm-hmm. So the first person go, Pat Watkins. Pat like 6'5".
Over 200. So that's one.
Pat go, wow, he scored. Next person go, he scored. K Hall go, he scored. B Mac go, he scored. I'm like, now I'm hitting all these dudes. So then my helmet pops off one time. So they like, so Mickey like, man, so the older guys like, Coach, chill. And so I'm literally like, I got tears coming out my eyes. Like I'm crying. I'm like, basically like, I'm finna show this motherfucker that I'm not a bitch. But in reality, it's hurting me so bad because I'm like, I do not want to do this. Like he basically like popping my cherry out here. And so I do it maybe 5 or 6 times in a row. No break, no nothing. Get up there, blow the whistle. Wham, wham. Like any football player that understands, like that's real.
Yeah, you getting the business.
I'm getting the business. It's almost like torture. So I do it, and then finally he like, all right, enough. And so after that, all my teammates, all the older guys is like, bro, we rock with you. You gonna be all right. You the only motherfucker that was up here that was not scared. That was like, okay, keep going. You didn't tap out. Your helmet came on the ground. You put it back on and went again. And I'm the smallest one, the lightest one. Like, you know, I'm just trying to like prove to my teammates that I'm worth being here. I don't really care what Mickey think. If he think I can tackle or not, I don't really care. But in my mind, I'm like, this, I pop my cherry. So now I can walk around the locker room. Everybody on defense know this little nigga got heart. Like, that's how I wanted to be seen. So that was probably like my best moment, like story-wise at Florida State, because that's nothing that's ever going to be talked about. Mm-hmm. Probably none of the older players are ever going to remember it. But for me, that was like a turning point in my whole football career, because I'm like, hell, I can do whatever now.
I mean, that's
like
really,
respect.
Really one of the big, what I try to tell people is the biggest thing about football. I say it with my sons all the time. Like, I don't know how good my oldest son is going to be. He's a good athlete. Mm-hmm. But we put him in tackle. Everybody's like, oh, I don't care if he's the world's greatest Pop Warner player. I need to know, will my puppy bite?
Correct.
It don't have to bite hard. I just need to know if he's willing to bite.
Mm-hmm.
Because if he ain't gonna bite as a puppy, he ain't finna bite when he get full grown. It's just
nah,
not gonna be in.
Nah.
So I mean, a lot of times you just gotta figure out, is the person gonna do he got anything in him?
And I think a lot of times that doesn't really get measured until you in places where you can't hide anymore.
Right.
And now these kids can hide all the way until sometimes pro football, because they don't tackle in practice.
Nah.
Little league, they don't tackle the same. They got 7 on. You can be a great skill player and get to college without having like to physically like be a good tackler. Right. You can get through high school ball if you are on a good team where you ain't physically like tackling people a lot, unless you play like linebacker or something like that. I'm talking about like a skill player. Pro football and college, they don't freaking tackle in practice in college, not real live tackling.
Right.
They may do drills. Pro football, hell, you ain't tackling nobody into the game.
Right.
So like you really could get by the whole time. But nowadays you can. Back then, you couldn't get by if you playing for Miami, Florida State, Coach Saban, even Alabama. Before Coach Saban got done, they still had an old school pedigree. That's why Georgia whooping everybody's ass, because they still have an old school physical pedigree. And I think that them kids can't hide. So when them kids go pro from Georgia, you know they're ready.
Mm-hmm.
Them kids go from Bama, you know they're ready. When kids go from other places, I'm talking about defensive players, you don't know if they're ready because they're not physically like been going against really good players in practice and having to like not freaking tap out.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's a different story. And I think that's the difference. And I don't mean to ramble, but that's the difference from guys having a longer career and a shorter career. It's not necessarily the talent. Sometimes it's off the field stuff. It's that moment where you don't have that extra push to not tap out or go that extra gear. And that's what Florida State did for me, because I felt like I was the underdog the entire time I was there, whether I was playing or not. So I always wanted to practice because I wanted somebody to take my spot. I always play hurt because if I get in, I might not get back in. You know what I mean? So that mindset, I take that into everything in life to this day. And most people, they look for an alternate route to try to get there instead of just facing it head on. And that moment was like one of my first moments at 18 years old where I had to like figure it out. You know what I mean?
So started for 4 years, good career at Florida State. You get to the NFL, you get to the draft. What were the expectations when you started doing your combine training and those different things? And obviously, what was it like not getting drafted?
Man, that's the worst day of my life. That was sad. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Now they were still doing 2 days then for the draft, right? Saturday, Sunday then, or had they moved it?
Yeah, it was 2 days still. It was 2 days then, or 2 days then. So training, just I'm going off of, and I told this story before. It's more like you don't understand now that I'm on the coaching side of things and on the other side of things. You understand like how the draft works, how they're building a team. They're grading you off. They're picking players from like what's your peak, your potential, and not necessarily what you've done. At some positions, it's what you've done. Like at quarterback, they need to see something you've done, but they also grading you off potential as well. Offensive line, it's like if you're a dominant offensive lineman at a big school, then you got a better chance of being, unless you're just 5'10" offensive lineman. But at DB, hell, it's got to measure out like productivity versus your potential of what you can be. My body type is not a product type. I'm 5'10", maybe 175 pounds. That ain't playing nowhere in pro football. So they're not looking at me. And I played at a good school and started all these years, but well, guess what I got? 2 shoulder surgeries. I got wear and tear from playing. It's not like nobody's saying like a GM or a scout is not going to bring this to somebody's table. If I was 6'2", with the same thing, the first round pick, just because that's easier to sell. That's that, and I get it. You know what I mean? Just from a coach. Now I'm coaching. I got 2 guys with the same thing. I'm gonna take this 6'2" guy because if we go against a taller player, like he can hold up a little bit longer. So I understand it nowadays. Back then, I didn't know. I just thought productivity. I'm like, hell, I played against all these receivers at Miami, all these receivers at Florida that went first round, and I did well against these dudes. So why the hell, what's going on with me? So it was sad, honestly, not getting drafted, but it was also the best thing that happened to me because it created hunger. It created I had to show my worth in other areas from a mental side of the game. So, if I can't be the tallest, I gotta be the smartest.
Right.
If I can't be the, what they like, my attitude has to be great. I have to be an approachable guy. I have to be a likable person. I can't come in the locker room running my mouth. I gotta go in there and just fall back and know that I'm a good locker room fit. So things like that.
So was it Denver? Is that who gave you
Yes.
you the shot?
Yeah. So coming out during the draft, I thought I was gonna get picked. I got a call from Atlanta in the 3rd round. They're like, hey, we thinking about taking the DB, blah, blah, blah. Cleveland called in the 4th round. I'm like, oh,
I'm so glad you're talking about this part. That I ain't gonna lie, that shit's annoying. Like, cause it's not, again, like you just described the other side of the game, but like when you're on this side, like they're getting your hopes up.
You're getting your hopes up, and it's like this is something you want your whole life. This is bigger than anything you've ever thought about. So like, it's actually here, and I would say that I didn't go to the combine. I didn't get invited to the combine. Nothing. And I'm thinking, how the fuck I didn't go to the combine? I started 4 years at this school. Did a lot of good things. I got guys from freaking Alcorn. He going to the combine, but he's 6'1", 195 pounds. That's prototypical. But I'm like, he would never play at Florida State. That's what I'm thinking. So if I had went to the combine, I probably would have got drafted easy because I would have ran a fast ass 40, all these things.
Right.
So fast forward, during the process, you just realizing like, damn, this probably ain't gonna happen. So you go from being the man in college to so that felt like my freshman year of high school, my sophomore year of high school, to where I was nobody on the map, but I was still hungry. Obviously, I knew I had an inner confidence, you know what I mean, that I could play with anybody because I just did it on a high level in college. So I went to Denver my first year, my rookie year. I started off on the practice squad my first like 4 weeks of the season. And then I got moved up to the active roster. And then the next year, shit, I got cut. They cut me. People don't know this. They just hear 8 years and they don't know what 8 years mean.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got cut, went to New England, and the relationships matter. The head coach in Denver, my rookie year, he was Josh McDaniels. He came from New England. So obviously they picked guys and they had other guys. And so he put a recommendation. Hey, New England, y'all should probably get Tony. Like, he's a good player. We just can't use him right now. So I went to New England, go there. That's the year of the lockout. Get to New England. I end up playing there. They picked 2 guys in the first round, 1 or 2 guys in the first round. So they like, hey, we got to play our top picks. That's the lockout year. They cut me. I go back to Denver. And then now that's when I had my run of playing a lot and, contributing. Stayed there for 4 years, new coaching staff. But the relationship piece matter. Them same dudes that were scouts, people in the front office, they were the same people. So they remember how I carried myself, how I act, and they knew my skill set. You know what I mean? He can cover. No matter what we try to tell him what not to do, he can cover. So that was always my trump card. And I understood how to make a team. Most people don't know how to make a team. They think it's something different. You gotta make plays to make the team.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. So in practice, all I used to think was, hell, if I get 1 interception a week, maybe 2 a week, if that, they gotta play me. I gotta make the team. And then they put me out here in the preseason game. Fuck, I'm playing against the rookies who don't know how to fucking play anyway in the NFL. All they running is slants, curls, and go balls in the preseason. So I'm jumping this shit. So I'm gonna get a pick in the preseason. And then once you do that, it's like they either gotta keep you or the rest of the league see you. That's how you make teams at certain positions. So it's just understanding how to make a team and how to have some type of value In the classroom, I was quiet, didn't say nothing on time. But if they asked a question, I'm gonna go on the board and draw on all that shit because I want them to know, like, I know what I'm saying. I know what I'm talking about. Most guys are too cool. You know, people that are too cool, it's hard to get ahead in a business where they don't fucking need you.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you too cool, you want to be the guy that, you know, come in there swagged out, wearing your jewelry in the meetings. They're like, bro, you not even a man. What you doing?
They've seen that story before.
Right.
They know it flames out.
Correct.
So, like,
correct. So you just have to understand like how to play the game, and that's learning from older people and also listening to the information that you get, knowing who to follow, knowing who to watch. I had some really good vets, and even guys like yourself in college, you know, and guys, older guys, I watch how they move just in around campus, how they conduct themselves just in general. And you pick up little things and say, like, all right, it's got to be a reason why he's got this job. It's got to be a reason why he has something going for himself in life. And you may not have conversations with people or talk to them all the time, but I watch everything from afar. And so as a young player, you know, I'm watching. All right, how Brian Dawkins move in the locker room. He about his business. How Champ Bailey go about it. He the quietest person in this bitch, and he's the best player on the team. So who am I to be in here talking? Okay, how does this young Ricky act that he out of control, he wilding, he talking about what he did last night? He ain't gonna last long.
I used to tell people that nobody want to hear that. Like, not at that level.
Mm-hmm. So just understanding just how to move, and throughout my career, knowing things you should do and versus things you have to do. And when they ask you to go to these events for kids, motherfucker, go. You may not want to, but you have to because now the city sees you as a popular person. All right. If like today, you know, you asked me, was I coming? If I give you my word, I'm coming, I'm coming. If I was a flake, then no matter what from here on out, that's the first thing you'll think about.
Fair enough.
And that happens to you or anybody else. It happens to me. So just being a person of your word. If you ask somebody to help you with something for time, meaning like, you know, this is what I do or don't like. As a coach, you coach now. Kids come to you and ask you, or parents, right? Kids or parents come to you and say, James, can you help my kid get recruited? Can you help my kid do this, get better? But then they don't follow up, right? Are you serious or are you not serious? Okay, you may have a player that you coach. Coach, I want to watch some extra film with you. And all you're gonna say is, let me know when you're ready. They never call you back, or they never say nothing else about it. So in your mind, you thinking, this motherfucker ain't serious. So you gotta apply those things. Like, and sometimes, you know, just the parents and the people outside of them who don't have a PhD in where these kids are trying to go, they got to get out the way. Like, I don't listen to what my mama say about sports because she just being a mom.
Fair.
So yeah, her baby should have this, her baby should have that. But nah, that ain't how it works. You know, I don't listen to certain people that not saying haven't been there, but you understand this platform, you understand college sports, high school sports. So I would take your advice and keep going with it. You know what I mean? And with all that being said, all that correlates together to having a successful career. You know what I mean? And it starts when you're young. If you spoil your kids, fuck, they're not gonna be spoiled at some point, and it's gonna hit them. You got to give them the hard truth. And my mother always gave me the hard truth. You know what I mean? If I got burnt, what's she gonna say? Your ass got burnt. She ain't gonna say, well, you was a little tired because you didn't get no sleep last night. So, and that's how Mickey was, and all these other coaches are. And I think that's kind of how I was able to surpass some of my peers and beat the odds from, you know, my size and my ability.
You gotta be. My mom used to say, "Be so good they can't deny you," and that's just in, you know, again, finding the different things. I mean, that's some Dope, we gotta make sure we cut that. That's some real. That was some real talk right there. Just advice in life, in general. Like I joke. I told somebody, I said, you know how some of my tax stuff. I was like, you know how I learned how to budget this? I was like, I ain't listened to the people that came up with me because they ain't never seen that kind of money before. But I got around people who had been through that and could help. Oh man, nah. This is what my accountant did right here. Talk to your accountant about doing this and woo woo woo. You can do that at anything. So that was some real good advice. So transitioning out of the NFL, what was that like for you? And then what were your next steps once you got out of the NFL?
I mean, I think it's tough. You know what I mean? Anybody that says they had a smooth transition is somebody has a great family structure in place already, meaning like, you know, they may be married, have kids, and they already like you jump into a schedule. The biggest thing with transitioning is a schedule, because you just used to having to be somewhere all the time. You kind of know what your year is going to look like. All season, this is when you start training. You know, this is when you go to camp. This is when your season's over. This is when you vacation. This is when you do that. So when you get done, you like, whoa, what's my schedule? You know what I mean? That's the day-to-day stuff that people don't really think about. Of course, you're not playing anymore. And the cliche stuff that people talk about is you're not playing, you don't have a number anymore. So who are you? Yeah, that's for people who only had football, or people that all their worth was in football. But really, it's the day-to-day. Like, when I first got done playing, I'm like, fuck, I can go travel where I want to travel. I'm not married. I don't have no kids. So, like, my habits are not good. You know what I mean? My habits are going on vacation, having fun with my friends, you know, like going to a lounge, a bar. I can't do this shit the whole year.
Right.
A, I'm going to spend too much money. And B, it's not good for the type of man I want to be. So first I had to start changing my habits. So what I did was reconnect with people that were good for me, whether that's former college teammates, whether that's family members who I had not been as close to because I just lived so many places. So I made sure I reconnect with my family. I started hanging out with my grandmother a lot more, being around my brothers, because those are people that really love you and care about you. And you realize that you put them on the back burner because you're chasing what you want to chase. As you understand now, you're doing what you're doing. You got your thing going. So sometimes you can't be around.
Right.
Sometimes you can't. You spread yourself thin because you're chasing something and you want to like be good at something. So in sports, it's definitely very demanding. So when you get done, you got to kind of like reset your priorities, reset, you know, just your mindset. Everything is not for competition anymore. You know, you can't say stuff that you would say in the locker room in the real world.
Right. Definitely.
You know what I mean? Like,
sure you know where you're at.
Right. So just it's kind of like you've been sheltered and structured in this certain space, and then now, you know, you got to deal with the fact that people asking you, "What you up to now?" Like, some dudes can't handle that, so that's why they hide. They don't come out. Oh, we got guys we played with in college. You like, I haven't seen him in years. You don't know where he at, what he doing. It's because some of it is they just doing their own thing. A lot of it is it's because they can't handle people knowing what they got going on with their life because they were supposed to be something else. Right. That's a hard pill to swallow. And a part of that is, you know, you gotta, like, people need love in certain areas. And I needed that. I needed the love from my family members. I need the love from, you know, just people who I rock with. And so you don't know how to ask for that love because you were supposed to be you.
Right.
Even they look at you as like Superman sometimes because, you know, whatever the case may be. So you got to humbly be vulnerable. You got to humbly, like, if somebody asks you, you all right? You got to be like, nah. You know what I mean? So I think that just understanding, like, you got to make sure that you have good conversations, it's productive, and then find something that you like to do. I found golf. So I'm not going to be lifting weights and, you know, exercising because I've never been that guy anyway. But I started playing golf, so it gave me like a sense of competitiveness. I got into coaching, so now I'm connected to the game again. I'm able to give back to the youth or whoever. Um, Also, hell, I make money doing these things. I got a real job. I can't just sit on my ass forever. I ain't make $100 million, so I got to make sure I keep some income coming to where I feel comfortable about my situation. Um, Not create debt,
Mm.
right? Like motherfuckers create debt from baby mamas. They create debt from buying everybody else shit. And then now you ain't making $1 million, $2 million a year. So this shit gotta go. All right. And you can say just spending habits, like I never spent a whole lot of money, or I'll try to live within my means because I wasn't a first round pick. You know what I mean? So them boys going out spending 5,000 at the club. I'm on that spirit flight. You know what I mean? Spending $100, $200. I'm not doing that. So even now to this day, don't try to perpetrate or be somebody that I'm not. And that's big. That don't matter what career you got
right
going
now.
on.
You just said what's the problem with everybody now is
Correct.
One of the biggest jokes. One, I have a good amount of friends who've been successful, but I always see people. I'm like, the first thing they want to do is they brag about that. I'm like, man, you a school teacher, man. Chill out, man. Ain't nothing wrong with being where you at.
Right.
But also they be like, why you don't ever brag? I'm like, where I'm from, I don't want to get robbed. I mean, I ain't been in that. I haven't been in that situation in some years. But at the same time, I don't want somebody to see me as a walking lick. So I try to live humble.
And first of all, it's lame.
That part.
If you want me to be completely honest with you. If you're an entertainer, like you a rapper, you have to put on these personas, or you're a singer, or you somebody that has to like have an image to make money.
Mm-hmm.
If your image makes you money, then do it. But if your image doesn't make you money, then there's no reason to not have a humble approach about where you are. And that's how I choose people that I want to be around.
I also joke with people and say, I'm humble because just in general, I am. I know a lot of people who have done way bigger things than I can think. So like when somebody might say, oh man, that's amazing. I'm like, shoot, my dog Benji Brown is like,
right.
Like, it was funny about him. I didn't even know Ben. I didn't know Benji the comedian until I got to know Benji. But then when I realized, I'm like, yo, I should not be hanging this tough with this guy. Or on our level, one of the biggest things that one of the coolest things for me being a former player, but a fan before I became a player, is some of the old heads. Like I could call Peter. I got jokes. I was like, y'all realize I can call Peter Ward tomorrow?
Correct.
And he'll answer the phone.
Correct.
And I'm like, to me, that's the coolest thing in the world.
Exactly.
But like when people see me, oh, you get to walk on the field, you do this. I say, yeah. But when I'm around Pete, the only person, I disappear. Don't nobody see who I am when Peter Ward, and I'm the same way. And I'm like, but so those are the cool things that said that maybe somebody else that won't keep them humble. But to me, I'm like, nah. Matter of fact, Pete had a bowling thing right before the world shut down. So this is 4 years ago. I remember where I was at.
In Atlanta.
Yeah. And it was Pete, Warren Sapp, Edge was there. It was who's who. Was a lot. Snoop was there. Even Dugans was there. But it was another one of our. Now you didn't play with him, but he was a walker. He's trying to tell stories. When Warren Sapp, Pete, I said, hey, the adults is talking right now. Man.
Right, grown folks
talking. Shut up and listen.
Right.
Like you need to. I got stories way more than you, but we right now need to enjoy being around.
It's levels to
it. It's levels to it.
Yeah,
and they'll include you because they're humble by nature too.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I always tell a lot of people, sometimes it ain't really the reason why is because I know people, and that's what motivates me. And the cool part is they're interested in you being as successful as possible too. So.
It is. And I would say all the time, it's like people like real people. Like nobody likes fakeness or try hard people or one up people. You know what I mean? Like nobody enjoys that. If they do, they got to deal with you because of, whatever reason they got to deal with you. But nobody likes that in the world. And I think that attention is like where shit is going down. the quality of just everything, because people losing their morals for attention. And you know, sometimes that's your personality is controversial or funny or whatever, and that's who you are. But a lot of people try to be this because they want to, like, this gonna get me a following. But I think everything comes in waves, you know. Like, you can name a lot of things that were hot 5 years ago that everybody jumped on that ain't hot no more. But one thing that's always gonna be hot is genuineness, realness, and relationships with people. That's never going away. Like, you never gonna get anywhere in life without having good relationships and a good name. And you're able to walk in any rim because of your reputation. You know what I mean? It don't matter if you played at Florida State or you played at freaking anywhere. But if your name is good and people know, like, you know, you doing quality things or you ain't on no BS, then people gonna rock with you. And you know, it helps when you do have the logo, and we have the logo of Florida State, you know, because we earned that. So now it's like, now you have more to offer to people. And I think a lot of times, no matter what you've accomplished or what you haven't accomplished, like, if you're a good person and you got your shit going and you got something good going for yourself, then you're gonna be all right. But if you come in and, like, you know, like, the thing I don't like is when a motherfucker meet you, they ask you what you do. Was that determine how you gonna treat me?
Right.
Or are we at a networking event? That's appropriate. But that's not appropriate, in my opinion, to just walk up on somebody and ask them what they do. Like, I want to feel you out, ask you how you doing, who you are, before I ask you what you do, because that's going to determine, like, me personally, I feel some type of way when somebody introduces me as a former NFL player. I don't like that.
Because it also comes
you know what I mean? I don't like that.
It also comes with a bunch of other different.
Right.
How you know I feel like talking about football today? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because what happens if I say, hey, man, this is my guy Tony. Tony played with the Broncos, blah, blah, blah. Hey, man, what's your thoughts on the Broncos? Hey, man, I just came to really
now, if it's a situation to where, if it's a situation to where, you know, like, I understand when it's appropriate. Like, if I'm we going in here and we trying to, like, close a deal, that's what we gonna do.
Right.
Well, we gonna put our resume on the table. If we talking to girls, no.
Yeah, because now,
now I'm like, what the hell?
Like, today, they come with a whole
I'm not doing
thing.
that. You know, so it's like, I'm not gonna say, unless it's somebody who I rock with and who I trust. If me and you go somewhere and I introduce you to one of my boys that I rock with, and I'm gonna say, yeah, this is my boy James. He does this, this, and that. So now he understands, like, we in good presence of certain people. But if it's a motherfucker that I don't know and you don't know, and we in here trying to prove ourselves to make ourselves feel worthy, then what are we doing?
Just call it measure. I don't have measuring contests.
Right.
I ain't got time for all that. Right. But nah, man, that song. Damn, that was some good life, some good genuine. I'm about to share this to the group chat with Mandarin coach. Make sure they put this and give me some extra views. All jokes aside, I think a lot of people, just the humbleness, being able to go through it. Your story of getting to the NFL, I tell people the same along with mine, are probably more relative and representative than what most people are going to ever get. Because what did I say? Somebody said something. You just did this, and I was like, I just did what? And I had just seen what Trap had put out. I might have the numbers confused right now, but it's something like a minuscule amount of people have ever worn an NFL jersey.
Yeah.
I was like, so don't just say I just did anything. Like, it ain't that many people that never done that. But most people have to get in there. They have to fight. And the cool thing about what your story is, whether somebody has all the measurables or they don't, if they take a lot of those different things and they follow those, they'll be successful in any aspect of life, which is part of the whole purpose of doing the Doak Boyz talks, is one, for us to be able to share in moments. And a lot of people want to hear what happened back in the day, but to humanize the athlete. I think too many times, I mean, you kind of mentioned that a little bit. We didn't go in depth, but like, too many people see you as, oh, you were here and you were the superhero, and now all of a sudden you're not, without realizing that, we just a normal person that got some gifts that people tend to like. But there is a humanity level in all of that. We go through things. It's not as easy as I told people. Trust me, if I could do it all over again, I could just be smart. I'd probably just be smart. Especially when I found out that a scholarship ain't nothing more than the max amount of money they could give a student.
Correct.
So I'm like, you mean to tell me I could have just been smart and I ain't had to hit nobody?
Right.
I wouldn't have had to do mat drills.
Right.
I mean, I just went and did some homework a little bit better.
But some homework.
Yeah, did some homework because but man, I appreciate it. I know you didn't have to. I mean, I appreciate you doing it. Appreciate you spending as much time. And that's the crazy part. That's why I was telling you. It ain't really an interview. It's really just catching up.
We just kicking it. And it's good, honestly, for people to do this. I like what you're doing. I watch you, I watch it, whether you know it or not. I watch it, I see it. I always keep up with all my, former Knowles. And I think you're doing something really good. You add some character to it, in my opinion. I think you're doing a hell of a job by speaking your opinion, having fun, knowing when to be serious. Like you one of the ones that I like. Obviously, you're here in Jacksonville, so I got a lot of people that we know, a lot of the same people. But I like what you're doing, and I think I encourage, if any other former Knowles are watching, or it don't matter where you went to school.
Yeah, because we gotta say this is Doak Boyz. We got one inside. Like we talk. The biggest thing is I like to hear people. Like from a different level. And so many times it's like, it's an interview. I got to come in here. I'm going to enunciate my words. I'm going to say this. But there's a time and a place for all of that.
It is. And I think one thing about it, I like how you're doing it, just because I see some clips and I just be like, I'm falling out laughing.
Nah.
I'm 2 a.m. I'm looking at my phone like, this boy James crazy as hell. But I like it because that's the same shit I'm thinking.
Yeah, Miles does a really good job of making me look like an asshole in 60 seconds sometimes. But it's the stuff that was said, but it's like, be like, hey, man, you got to listen to the minute before and then the minute after. But that clip is real.
That clip is real, man.
Damn. I was like, damn, I said that. I was like, man, that person, I know that person going to look for me.
They call it lounge barbershop talk.
That part. But, and that's just really where it's all, like I tell you, what I'm ignorant about. I might ask a question because I really want to genuinely learn. But I try not to talk about nothing that I don't really know about.
Right.
I let it, again, like when we were just talking about grown folks talk. When we talking when I'm with a scientist and they talking about science, I ain't okay.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
Correct.
I don't do that. But yeah, man, I think that's the biggest thing is getting more people in, more stories we hear, the better. Like I said, I appreciate you. Funny though, before we leave, I don't know if you remember this, but damn, because it's crazy how I call it the blip because I'm a comic book nerd, but that damn COVID, that quarantine time, it's throwing off my whole concept of timing from the last. So some things may have been 7, 8 years ago.
Right, but them 2 years, then it was like,
yeah. But it was once, boy, I was in Orlando at this conference. It was at downtown, I think both by downtown Disney, or BB King's or something.
Okay.
Man, I go use the bathroom. I'm going to piss. And I hear this, hey, I know that ain't James Coleman. I'm like, oh shit. I was like, I don't know what the fuck this person got to drop on me. I got my dick in my hand. I'm peeing. I can't just stop peeing because then I'm gonna get it all over. He's like, hey man, it's Tony Card. I'm like, oh. I was like, shit. I said, boy, I hadn't seen you in a minute too, dog. Yeah. But the other cool side of it is that, people need to see this too about teammates. Like unless there was some shit, like we talked about some stuff off camera, unless there was some really diabolical stuff, for the most part, man, when everybody gets together, man, it's so cool to chop.
Bro, it's definitely this the only brotherhood I have left. Pro football, you don't have it like that. You know what I mean? Unless y'all want a Super Bowl together and y'all see each other and go back. But your college teammates is just where you grew up. Mm-hmm. You got some guys in high school, but that was so long ago. It's like, you didn't spend as much time as you did in college. Right. College, you really grew up together.
First time everybody's on their own.
Right. So it's
bills,
like
girls.
That's your core of like, they really know you. They really know you. They watched you, become a man.
We were talking about, I could say this because I've said this to him before, like Crow. Mm-hmm. Like I joked with Crow. I said, man, Crow, you're so much better of a better person. Like you've grown so much, dog. Like you've grown so much since you've been out of college. But like you just see stuff and you remember, all right, man, this dude was like this. Like I seen BJ Dean It might have been, had to been 2 years ago. He came to the spring game, brought his son, and I remember when he had the baby boy. And I was like, damn, now he grown. He about to go. And it's just like you see these guys that you hadn't seen them in so long, and then it's just catching up. And a lot of it just has to do with reality.
Correct.
You know, people have kids, they have other careers. Something might have moved you to the West Coast, and it's different flow. But at the end of the day, it's all love. But again, man, I appreciate
you, bro. I enjoyed it. Had a lot of fun, man. Thank you for inviting me.
Fun catching up, learning stuff that I didn't. That's the other beautiful thing. I learned stuff that I didn't know. Yeah, Adrian over people calling me out saying I say some wild shit. Oh, I did not ask this. My bad. I have to ask this.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on the current iteration of Seminoles, and what's your thoughts on Mike Norvell?
I like Norvell a lot. We text a lot. We talk. I think he's a genuine dude. First of all, he's putting a program. It's a lot of structure in the program now, and I do like the structure. We're getting some great recruits. We're getting some great guys out of the transfer portal. It feels like this year and the last 2 years, I'm excited to watch it. You know, before that, it was like it was hard to watch.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was hard to go to an event. It was hard to wear that Seminole hat. Around. And, you know, no matter how much pride you have, you want to be a winner.
Right.
And I think that he's doing a good job of doing things the right way. And I like where the program is headed. I think we got screwed by, you know, the college football committee, but I get why we didn't get in, but I'm biased. So, but I do like the way that the program is headed. We got some really good coaches. Strength staff is phenomenal, as you see during the off season right now, spring ball. I just like the way the guys are. They're having fun too. It's not just robotic. I think we're conforming, and we're growing with the times of Seminole football. It's no longer, you know, an old school program anymore. We still have old school tradition, but it's growing to where people want to be a part of it, of all walks of life. So I like it.
Definitely, man. One of the things, Mike's the same exact person no matter what time of day you meet him.
I agree.
It tripped me out.
I'm trying to figure out where he get all this energy from.
Same thing.
I'm like, does he sleep?
So people like I'm glad and Mike gets it. So the funny thing about all of this stuff is that I talked to him enough and I've been around it enough to know if he ain't like it, I wouldn't be around like that.
Right.
But I said I think he do a bump. Ain't no way. The only people I've ever seen with that kind of energy, man, is people doing that. But I've seen him at 9 a.m. I've seen him in the middle of the day. I've seen him late at night. He's always energetic.
He must live a healthy lifestyle. I think he has to eat right. You know, obviously he exercises. He got good energy. But I like his approach to just people. I'll tell you a story that just happened. So my niece went on a college visit to Florida State. And, you know, I didn't have anything to do with them going there or anything. And so they went to go take like a tour of the stadium and all that stuff. Like that's a part of the visit of the school. And so the coaches were having a meeting or whatever. And this is a 17-year-old girl, and she with her mom. And she's like, you know, of course they watch Florida State, they know, but I had nothing to do with this. So they walk in, and Norvell and some of the other coaches are there. And he goes up to my niece and was like, "Hey, how you doing? You know, blah, blah." She's like, "I'm doing good." You know, she's like, "Are you enjoying the tour?" He didn't notice my niece at all. And so she's like, "Yeah, I am," and blah, blah. He's like, "What's your connection to Florida State?" She's like, "Oh, my uncle went to school here." He's like, "Who's your uncle?" So she said my name. He texted me right then. It was like, "Hey, I got your niece. We need to get her to come here." But they were even surprised. Like, man, this is the same guy we see on TV. He came over and talked to a group of African-American young girls who he didn't have to talk to. They're kind of in the middle of a meeting. He stepped up, stopped the meeting, walked over, talked to them, said hi, took the time to text me and said, "Hey, I met your niece. You know, we got to get her at FSU." And that's what he does.
Dude, young people, my son absolutely they treat my son better than they treat me.
I believe
my son goes over there, walks around like he played. And he's like, if he's good enough in Florida State office, he'll tell everybody there's no need for you. If Coach Norvell's there, still he's like, this is where I'm playing. But like he goes there, and I told people it makes it hard. I'm so glad they're winning because it's hard to talk bad about people that take good care of your kids, man. So
right.
but like, you know, but again, you can see the approach, you can see the growth. And what made me like him is that he's as real as it can be. So when they went 3-6, and my old radio partner, Denny Thompson at the time, Norvell said, I got to get on your show. Norvell reached out to me. And I know he looked at before that, he told Crow, he's like, I know who you are. We follow stuff on social media. And he didn't want to fight him or nothing. He was just like, Crow was like, really be? So he came in, and my business partner said, how many times you going to remind this man that the only times you want to see the numbers 3 and 6 together with Florida State is when you step into your house and you look to the right and it's one in white, and you look to the left, it's one in garnet. Right. And he was like, you realize you told him that like 7 times in a 15-minute interview. Right. So I needed to make sure he knew. But he talks about understanding about the past, respecting the past, and bringing it in. And when I watch it, there's very, very much so old school mentalities in it, which explains a little bit why we don't have like that number 1 recruiting class, but why we kill it in the transfer portal. Because once you've gone through all the pomp and circumstance, you ain't looking for that no more. Right. You looking to win. You a grown man now. Yeah, exactly. And the way he coaches and the way those guys talk kind of resonates with
a mature person can understand.
Yeah. I just, like I said, I think they're definitely, and there's Storms. You brought up Storms. I don't think Coach Josh Storms gets enough credit for how good he is, because them boys look good.
Yeah, they do.
Funny, I saw what's our strength? I saw Jost.
I saw Jost recently too in Orlando.
So he works for Gatorade now. Yeah. So I'm at the ACC championship and I'm walking on the sideline. I see Big G, I see Everett Brown, and then I look. I'm like, is that Jost? And I ain't seen Jost since 06, since I was done. So.
White Bay Team Squad.
No, I told Jost, I said, Jost, my only problem with you was my squat max was so heavy. And like during the season, we did squats on Tuesdays, but I was also full pad days. Right. They used to be like, James, you don't like work. I said, nah, dog. You got me. When January to August, I'm gonna do whatever you put on that board.
In the season.
But in the season, dog, you're not finna have me with like a damn near 700-pound squat doing squats, man.
Y'all strong guys, man. Y'all got that problem. Us little guys, I'm over there. I've been doing 185 miles.
They probably was just like, oh man, that's good for Tony.
That's good for him.
I'm over there, like I'm like, hey man, I'm not doing this, dog.
I've never maxed out on squats.
We only know what the computer max that they
right.
So like that was so even with the bench, the kids asked me what my bench was. I said, I can tell you what my highest calculated bench is, but I've never put more than 500 on the bar.
First of all,
I said that sounds terrible.
First of all, the fact that you even talking about 4 and 5.
Yeah, I put 495 on the bar once, but I told him I'm never going over 500. That doesn't make sense. There's no possible scenario in life where that's going to be applicable to me, where I need to push 500 pounds off my chest.
Bro, my squat and my bench is not 5, probably. Together.
Oh, man. Well, you know, like I said, man, I was hitting real people out there. Like, DJ is not. DJ was a grown ass man. And I told G, I was a better fullback under Greg, because they saw that hit against North Carolina, and then everybody was like, all right, I'd rather go get hit. I'd rather look like I'm making the play. Like if they couldn't get G straight up,
I'm going to smack him.
Like I said, Vilma, he'll never admit this. Vilma went when we did our ISO. All right, Vilma got blocked. It's no reason I should have blocked Vilma as easy as I blocked him in college. Now we ran sweeps. Vilma knew he could beat me and G to the point.
Right, side
so he gonna boom, shoot. He's there. He making that tackle. ISO, he's turning and getting blocked. Make it look like he did his job. Because if I miss and you got to hit, G gonna take G hitting everybody. Yeah. Billy used to say you're gonna have a Rydell animal. He's like, he gonna put that helmet right through your ass and whoever else is over there. Yeah. So, but yeah, man, I appreciate you. Took too much of your time, man. Hope everybody enjoyed it. I certainly did. This is Doak Boyz Chop It Up, part of Did Media Group. We got a lot more of these coming up, but this one was special, partially because I missed my flight to go to Dreamville. So I guess everything happens for a reason. I did want to see J. Cole. I kind of know he about to put something.
And that new album just came out.
Man. Yeah. Like, so I'm about to get these pictures and just be like, hey, man, wish you were here. Nah, don't send me that shit. I don't want to see anything. But a lot of people said, I was thinking the same thing when you were talking about Greedy Vance. He's probably the only person over there that got your measurables. Everybody else over there about 6'2".
Right.
Like when I'm out, I'm like, y'all, damn, all y'all look like baby crows.
Right.
And somebody's like, there ain't nobody. I said, dog, listen, I'm just saying they tall, got hips, and can run.
Yeah.
But all right, man. We'll see you guys. We have big games BS tomorrow, 9:30. Wait a minute. No, we'll have it tomorrow sometime. It won't be at 9:30 because hopefully I won't miss the other flight that I got to take tomorrow. We'll have a couple more of these. We still got Big Foe. We got Krafonzo Thorpe supposed to be coming. I think Krafonzo's on Wednesday at 1. But I wanted to make sure we got this. It's good seeing you, Tony, man. I appreciate the time.
Much
and
love,
we'll chop
bro.
it up with you guys next time.